Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens, Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle. This is episode 138. I hope you guys had an amazing Friday. I know I did. Got a little bit more sleep than I was supposed to, speaking of sleep before the show, but I had an amazing Friday. Got up, got a lot done today, and got an amazing guest tonight. Here before me is the Painted Lady of Painted Lady Gardens. Holy cow, it just got the heck scared the shit out of me. Sorry about that. Of Painted Ladies Gardens on Instagram. Sorry about that. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Is there any place else they can find you besides on Instagram?
I'm also on Cannabis at Painted Lady. I don't do too much of the social media I'm not on Facebook, and I have a Twitter account, a personal account, but I don't really do too much on Twitter because it's so negative. So I just try to stay on just kind of the more positive social media sources. And then, so Painted Lady on both of those.
Right on, right on. You know, there was one thing I forgot to cover with you, darn it, before we went on air there, and that was the chat part of it. Are you able to bring up chat, or can you watch chat at all? Not that,
Yeah.
Just in case you're interested.
All right.
Just in case you see somebody, that you want to say, give a shout out to, or somebody, whatever, or you see a question that you want to address, I encourage it,
All right.
It's just part of the deal, I guess.
Cool.
It can be hard to watch both though, so don't feel like you have to either.
Right.
Usually if they want you to see it, there would be a little red box that says, hello or whatever. You get your attention there.
Sure.
So how was your day? How was your day to get going?
It was good. I actually had to work the day job today. I had the rest of the week off, so that was kind of nice, but had to work the day job today, the non-cannabis day job, unfortunately. So that was the bigger part of the day, and then I got to take care of the ladies from that point on, and now I'm here with you. So yeah, it was a pretty good day. How about you?
It was a pretty good day. I spent most of the day in the garden and avoiding washing pots because I hate that aspect of the garden, but it has to be done at some point. But I try to put it off as long as I can.
Right.
But tomorrow it's first up on the list. You can only put it off for so long. That's for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Now, are you indoor?
So,
You're mostly indoor, right? Or are you outdoor too?
No, I'm 100% indoor.
Oh, okay.
It is what it is. I just, for years, I've been afraid to just go outside, I guess, for security reasons, because I am a caregiver and I do run a perpetual harvest. So I just kind of feel it's maybe a breach of security to put some out in the front yard, or you know what I mean, within eye shot, where people can get an interest that, hey, he does, do a little bit growing, and
Right.
Try to stay a little low when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, well, enough about me. Let's get going with you, Painted Lady. When was your first experience with that? We start from the beginning, or I like to start from the beginning. When was your first experience with the plant? Either, being around it, or, smoking it, using it.
Using was a long time ago. I used to get daily chronic migraines, and somebody suggested I try it for that. And I thought they were crazy because I grew up in a really conservative family. I know it doesn't look like that probably to most, but I did. And they were not on board with cannabis. So I believe my mom's exact words were, if I ever find out that you smoked weed, you're out of the will. So I pretty much stayed away from it until I was 18. And then my friend suggested it for my migraines because, you know, of course, the doctors was just, you know, shoving pills at me. And I hated the pills. And so I just finally was like, you know what, I'm going to try it. And so I did. And it worked. And it worked for stomach aches and it worked for all this stuff. And so I'm like, you know, there's something to this. I didn't understand what it was, but I knew it made me feel better. So I was like, you know, this is pretty awesome. And I always kind of wanted to, at that time, you know, well, I mean, I'm giving away my age, but it was only just like Mexican brickweed that we could get at the time, you know, that smelled like watermelons, you know, and so we would just get loads of that stuff and try to grow the little seed, the bag seeds, you know, and I was always just so disappointed because none of them would turn out. And I'm like, well, you know, I just kind of gave up for years, you know, and then finally a few years ago, you know, when everything's legal in Michigan, a friend of mine came into my life at the right time in the right place when I was kind of in a transition and he showed me the way. So, you know, he's like, first thing he said is he's like, what's your basement look like? And I'm like, basement. And so we went down there and he's like, oh my God, it's a fucking gold mine. So I'm like, a gold mine? Well, I don't know about that, but all right. I mean, I'm willing to try it. And he's like, yep. So he set up some HPS and a whole bunch of old ass magnetic, you know, ballasts. And oh my God, it was so hot down there. And it just seemed like everything was done half-assed the wrong way. And he would only show me like bits and pieces of little things here and there of like, you know, he was Heisenberging me, you know, and so I'm like, I just learned on my own. And so that's how I started growing. And I think that was like 2016. And I've been doing it ever since. And I fell in love with it. And I finally was just kind of like, you know, that doesn't seem right. And I just started learning on my own and just the differences. I finally was like, you know, I think I can take this over. So eventually we just parted ways and I just became a caregiver in Michigan and, you know, got some patience and been doing it ever since.
So, kind of back up a little bit here, you know.
I know that
So
was kind of a lot.
obviously,
Sorry.
no, not at all, not at all. But obviously, you must have. It must have been took off to a pretty frequent pace there. If you've seen the medical benefits to it, I mean, was that the obvious case there? I mean, did you start immediately? Was it an everyday thing, or at least a couple times a week? I mean, where did it go from that first time?
From when I was 18. Oh yeah, it's dark. I mean, obviously it was like, well, that's great for my headaches, but then I'm like, but I kind of like it. So, you know, it was just from there. I just pretty much every day. And then of course, you know, involved with my husband at the time. Well, he was my boyfriend at the time, but my husband at the time was in a band. And of course, you know, everybody in the band was always over at our house practicing and, you know, so it was just always around. So yeah, just for years. But then, you know, I on and off kind of like would quit and, you know, something would happen and, you know, just quit for a few years and then finally just get back on. And I just, you know, it's just one of those things that I just, every time I quit and then I go back to it, I'm like, why did I quit? That's crazy. So yeah, it's medicine. And just from headaches to just, you know, having a shitty day, you know, it just makes everything a little bit brighter.
Right on, right on. It does, so it does. So, I mean, you mentioned there briefly that you know, you did make a couple early on attempts. I mean, were they just like throwing a couple of seeds in a pot outside and seeing if they would come up, or were they just, I mean, how?
Windowsill. Windowsill.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a windowsill. So I don't even know if any of them even germinated. I don't even remember any of them germinating at all. So it was just kind of like, well, what happened? And it was probably the soil was probably drenched, and I'm sure it was just like all the wrong things. I probably did all the wrong things, but you know, it wasn't until later in life. I guess it just wasn't my time to grow until now.
So I can't help but wonder, with uh, with the threat from mom there about if I ever catch you, you know, smoking the weed, that I'll throw you out of the well there. I can't help but wonder, seeing how it seems like the next step could have been like, you know, a little kind of crazy-ish with the band life, maybe, just maybe, I don't know. But it seems, would she have directly blamed that on your cannabis use? Would she have been like, see, I knew it, this is right where it was gonna go?
Uh, I don't think so, because I used to be in a punk band when I was, before this, and she drove me to my guitar lessons, and just never batted an eye. I would be rocking out to King Diamond full blast at 6:30 in the morning, getting ready for school, and my mom and dad would be in the next room with the fucking paper, like you know and they never said a word. So, that was one thing that, even though they were really conservative on most fronts, and I was never allowed to get a purple mohawk, which to this day I'm still wanting, and I might just do, but yeah, in other ways, I tried to rebel as much as I could. And I don't know, I guess the punk music and all that kind of stuff led it all to here, but they never really said anything about, they never made the connection. I mean, it wasn't until, God, I guess it'll be like a year and a half ago that they even knew that this was happening in my life, or that I was even a user. I didn't even tell them until like a year and a half ago, because I knew that they were going to shit themselves, which is exactly what happened. So yeah, they're down in Florida in, God's waiting room, just like, I don't, in conservative land. And yeah, it didn't go well when we had the conversation, but they're becoming a little more accepting. So I'm working on it.
I can't believe you kept it hidden all that time. To be
Oh,
honest
well,
with you.
they retired like when I was in college. I was going to MSU here in Michigan, and they moved to Florida, or no, actually they moved to South Carolina first. And when I was, I don't know, I think I was 19 or 20. So they didn't know anything was going on, because they were, 1,700 miles away. So yeah, that wasn't too hard.
Still seems just a little funny. I mean, come on, I mean, I would consider, I mean, the punk rock band, and then kind of dating somebody that was in a band. I would suspect it. I mean, if it were my daughter, I would kind of.
Well, I'm sure she did, and which is probably the reason why we had the conversation that I would be taken out of the will if she ever found out. But, you know, uh, times have changed and things are legalizing, and yeah, so I think she's becoming a little bit more open to the idea. And the funny thing is, and they're down, well, they were down like in the Villages area where everybody goes, and retires. And more and more of their friends are saying, did you know that cannabis helps me sleep? And I went to one of those places. My mom was like, well, Pearl went to one of those places. And I said, a dispensary? Yes. And she got one of those vapors. I'm like, a vape? Yes. And do you know that they showed her how to use that? And she did that. And she sleeps better than she's ever slept in her life. And I'm like, Ma, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I'm doing this now. So, it just takes a little bit and a little bit of education for people to maybe change their minds.
Yeah, it's funny. I love to hear them stories too from the older folks that because I've got some family down there in Florida too, and it's very very similar, except that my stepmom, who's down there now, my dad's done passed, but I still speak with her, and she actually kind of helps older people yet. You know what I mean? She's and so she hears the stories like you're saying right now. I love the hearing her version of the stories because they're always so similar. I'm off my meds now, and my favorite
Yeah.
one is her telling me, she checks in on this lady and she's like, how are you doing today? You got all your stuff? And she's like, I'm not taking it anymore. And she, well, yeah, what are you doing? I'm on the cannabis. And she asks her, well, how you using it? She's like, I'm smoking the pipe. And she was just taking hits off a little one hitter there. And every
Yeah.
time I picture some old lady just kind of sitting there, just gently, taking a toke there, and it's so heartwarming. It really is.
Yep.
Never in my, all my life did I think that we'd be this far in cannabis as we are right now.
I know. I have a woman in her 70s that's one of my patients that she can't smoke it. She's got an issue with her lungs, but she likes the gummies. And she's so funny because she's like, "Can you make them triple strength?" And one time I was like, "Well, be careful." So, because I really have I'm a just caregiver too. So it's like I have no way of getting them like tested unless I actually took them to the facility and got them tested. So I'm like, oh, be careful. So I made them triple strength. And she calls me the next morning after taking the first one. And she was like, "Whoa, I'm still buzzed from last night." And I was like, "That's awesome, Sue. I mean, is that awesome? Is that awesome?" And she's like, "Oh my God, it's awesome." Gives me the thumbs up. And I'm like, perfect, perfect.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty awesome. Yeah, that's not gotta be. That is super awesome. So is
Yeah.
that her recipe now? I mean, have you stuck with that formula for her?
No, not the triple strength. She needed to calm it down a little bit. So what we do a hefty amount. So she's set. She goes up to Mackinac, or not Mackinac, the UP for the summertime. So I get her a hefty batch of them before she goes, and she's good to go for the summer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good deal. I hope still running up and down the state at 75. It sounds like a pretty good deal.
She's awesome. Oh my God, she's awesome. Yeah.
So is music something you still deal with? I mean, is that still part of your life?
I don't play it anymore. I sit there and I look at my guitar in the corner because I still have it in the guitar or in the corner of my room. Excuse me, but yeah, I just don't have time. I mean, I've got an indoor and an outdoor going right now. Um, and a full-time regular desk job. So I really just don't have the time to dedicate to trying to pick that back up. But I mean, music's part of my day every day. So, it's a part of my ladies' day every day. They listen to music, the entire time. Lights are on, the music's on. So they go from a variety of stuff from classical to reggae to, you name it. So it just depends on what's the mood is for the day.
Right on, right on. Sounds like you're pretty busy there. I mean, super busy. as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I love it though. I mean, this is, I can't believe it took me this long to figure out this what I want to do, and I've been doing this desk job for so long, and I'm like, God, I wish I had been able to start this life so many years ago. But you know what? At least I found it now, and the right person came into my life at the right time, like they always say, and here I am, and I'm just learning every day. I started learning. Well, I read the Bibles, Jorge and Ed Rosenthal's books, and then when I was doing my desk job, I would just try to find podcasts to listen to podcasts all day. And so I stumbled upon Dude Grows. So shout out to all the DGC. And so Dude Grows came on, and I had to laugh because the opening music, the whatever, it just sounds like good old boy stuff, and I'm like, what is this? I can't wait to listen to this. And so I started listening to Dude Grows, and at the time it was just on Spotify. Like, I only had it on Spotify. I didn't realize they were on YouTube. And so I was hearing all these voices, like, Dude and Scotty and Guru, and I'm just sitting there listening to them going, who is who, and who the fuck is this Scotty real? Is that voice real? Like, when you're listening to it on a podcast, it just does not seem like a real voice. It's so funny. And then I finally found him on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense. That totally makes sense. That's it. That's the voice. So, and then I stumbled upon Rasta Jeff's podcast also on Spotify when I was going through trying to find weed podcasts, and he was on like Purple Haze Radio at the time, which I think he said at one time they didn't really have his permission to play. But yeah, and I probably have learned 95% of, probably 95% of what I know from growing, from listening to Grow From Your Heart podcast and the Dude Grows. I just have been nonstop listening to those since I found them years ago, and I, soaking it up. So, and of course, like they say, there's no one way of doing it. So that's what's been fun to me, is just learning all the different ways to be able to grow this one plant.
Well, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if you caught the part of last night's episode when Ross and Jeff was checking out there. Pretty lengthy episode, so he said you do kind of get to bed somewhat early, so you may miss that part. But I told him you were going to be on. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. She's one of my testers." So he's probably watching tonight because he knew you'd be on.
I don't know if I would consider myself one of his testers, but I mean, he did send me some test seeds, not a week or so ago, but I had asked to be a tester, like, a long time ago, just like for S's and G's. I didn't think that he would ever even consider it. I'm like, who am I? He's going to be like, sure, here's some testers, but he did. And so, I mean, I'm super stoked about it. And I've been running some Lemon Jeffrey and Orange Gasm right now. And oh my God, I usually run Ethos, and I've run some Humboldt seed company, but I'm fucking impressed. I mean, the Lemon Jeffrey, both of them are just stacking. I mean, they're just in veg right now. I'm probably gonna flip them for flower in about a week, but yeah, I am a member of the Irie Army. So shout out to the Irie Army also, because they're awesome. Now, those are some grade A genetics for sure.
Can you roughly tell us what kind of testers you got? I mean,
nope.
Maybe divulging too much. I like that. Hell no, they're testers, dummy. It's like so shit.
I may be a noob, but I'm not that dumb.
Oh,
But
That
yeah,
is
I can't
funny.
wait to, those are actually, I just popped 6 of those and all 6 of them germinated and they're all on their way. So I can't wait to see what those do because the cross sounds uh, interesting. So yeah, it's going to be, I think that's going to be a good one for sure.
It's fun being ahead of the curve, isn't it?
I mean, it is my first time. It's only been like a week. So yeah, I guess it does. But yeah, I'm really, really stoked about it because the others are just setting up so nice. I can't wait to see what they do in flower. That's, that's the fun part. I mean, veg is great. They look fantastic and they're so healthy and everything, but the flower is the fun part.
Right on. I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about his genetics. I've yet to run some myself, to be honest with you. And hopefully that changes in the near future. But
Oh
everybody
yeah.
that I've heard that's random has, been more than impressed by what they've had. So it's good
Yeah.
incentive to drop some. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
You
for
seem to
sure.
be very excited.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following them for a long time, and I just the ones that I wanted at the time were sold out on Seeds Here Now, and so yeah, it just took a minute to get them, and then yeah, it started them at the, I don't know, I guess it was the beginning of COVID, around COVID beginning, and oh, the C word, but you know, there, I just can't wait. I'm waiting to harvest because I do a perpetual. So I've got like 4 that are getting ready to harvest in the next week. They should be done. And so as soon as those are done, then the iries get moved over and then it's go time.
Nice. Gotta love the perpetual. I mean, if you don't mind me asking without being too invasive, I mean, how often is your perpetual? I mean, because a perpetual can be different amounts, to be honest with you. Mine's
Yeah.
12. Mine's 12. So,
Oh, is it? Yeah.
but yeah.
I usually run every month. I usually run 6 through every month. I took a break actually during COVID and just did a complete strip of the room. I don't know. I was like, it probably would be a good time to like clean everything out and clean out the flower room, do a complete sanitization of the whole situation. And so that obviously set me back. But yeah, I'm getting ready to harvest now. So things are moving. And I usually run about every month. So I've got a Mac one, some Jupiter OG, some lemon candy OG, and a candy store from Ethos that are getting ready to flip also right now. So that's next up. It's always just so much fun. And that's I know that a lot of people run like one strain at a time and they dial it in and they just run that one. And I get it. I totally get that. But the fun part to me is just the variety. I like seeing how they're all different, seeing all, the differences and what this one wants compared to this one. And, so that's the fun part to me. So I just like to run a whole bunch of different ones and see what happens. But I am
Sound
not quite into the whole, male plant thing yet. So when I see those pop out, I'm like, oh, you got to go, buddy. You're done.
There's nothing wrong with that though. But it sounds like you're ready to be a tester. With the constant change and flipping of things, I mean, that's basically what a tester does. I mean, you can't commit to nothing because you've always got something new down the pipe hole that's, got to be popped, got to be
Right.
worked. So,
Yep. Yeah. I'm actually in that. Do you know anything about the Ethos Multi-Pass?
yeah, I do. Is that
Yeah.
something that you're part of? Oh, so
Yeah.
you got
Yeah. As a matter of fact, this is kind of a funny story because, excuse me. Um, when I first got into growing. And then my partner at the time was, only showing me bits and pieces. And so then when I started learning my own, the High Times Cannabis Cup was coming to town, to Clio. And so I decided, well, I'm going to start shopping for my own genetics, and I'm going to start doing this all on my own. And so I bought a ticket and I went by myself, and I just wanted to find some good genetics. And so I started going up to all the booths, and I went up to the Cali Connection booth because I had, they had a reputation of being, a reputable company. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to go to Cali Connection. I'll get some good seeds there. And I stood there at the counter, probably not even 5 feet from two of the employees for 10 minutes, and not one of them waited on me. And I'm just kind of like standing there, and I'm, looking at them, and then I'm looking at the genetics on the board, and then I'm kind of like looking at them, like I get questions and I wanted to ask about them, and nope, never even helped me. And so I'm like, you know what? I could say something because I'm not opposed to doing that. So I could say something, but I decided not to. And then the next booth I went to was one I'd never heard of, and it was Ethos. And so I just was like, okay, this looks pretty cool. I like the way everything looked. Everything was laid out really cool. And they had all the genetics right there and explained like what the crosses were and really clearly. And the people came right up to me, and it was Colin. And he sat there for 30 minutes going over the genetics with me. And just, obviously I was a newbie and I really didn't know what I was doing, but he took the time to sit there for like 30 minutes to go over all the ones and, help me select which ones I should buy. And from that point on, I was like, you know what? I'm sold on Ethos. So I started just kind of almost exclusively buying Ethos. And so when the multi-pass thing came about, I was lucky enough to get in on tier 1. And so, in January, we got a drop that was like 17 different strains. So, I've got so many variety. I'm like, a kid in a candy store. I have no idea which one I want to run first. I'm like, do I run the grape diamonds or do I run the airplane glue? Like, I have no idea. There's so many.
Yeah, that was most definitely an amazing deal they offered out there, and it's Ethos. Was one of those especially when they were first popping their head up. One of the companies that were overly friendly. You know what I mean? They wanted to catch your eye. They wanted to catch your business, and I appreciate that. When I go to a booth and I can talk to the breeder himself, and they can take time to answer my questions. You're right. That does draw me in. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Versus somebody that can't answer my questions is just like, do you want it or not? You know what I mean? I would
Right.
have been pretty pissy if I would have stayed in line like that. And, nobody looked at me for 5 minutes while they were just sitting there doing nothing.
You know,
Probably the best thing you did, though, was walk away.
well, yeah, it probably was because I never would have found Ethos. And those are some fire genetics too. From day one, it was so funny because I bought them, and of course he gives out so many freebies, like you spin that fucking wheel and then you land on more packs. And I ended up taking home like 3 different strains. Like I got Citral Glue, Grandpa's Stash, and oh god, Citrullic Sunset. And so those were my first 3. And I came home and I showed the guy that showed me how to grow, and he's like, what the fuck is that? I've never even heard of that company before. And I'm like, well, I thought that they were really cool and I like their packaging. And the total chick answer, like, I like their packaging. And then he spent 30 minutes talking to me. I didn't know that was the owner, I didn't know. until later on, because I was still new at it, and I had no idea what I was doing with genetics and that kind of thing. Because my partner would always just do clones, and he always just brought them in, and I was always kind of like, I always was told that everything I was hearing. I'm like, I always thought that you're not supposed to bring clones in from, so I'm kind of like having this internal debate, like, I am new at this and I don't know what I'm doing, but I think that you're doing that wrong. So yeah, anyway, that was a kind of a side tangent, but yeah. So Ethos from day one, and I started growing those. I popped those seeds, and he just was impressed. Like, he was like, holy shit, those are some fire genetics. Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Huh? I made a good choice.
Yeah, for sure. They sent Critical Glues, awesome strain for sure, for sure. Uh,
Do you run
what
any
other strains have
Ethos?
you? Yes, I do.
Do
As a
you?
matter of fact, I have run the IOGOGO and the Insane in the Membrane.
Did you find a
I
female
still.
in the OGOGO? I can't find a female. All of the
Oh
ones that
man,
I popped are males.
really?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
had nothing but
well, you
females
got my
over here.
females. Yeah, I
It's a
got
good
all
one.
males.
It's a good one. It was like a Sweet Island skunk. I mean, it was super tasty. I mean, great body buzz. I
Oh,
enjoyed it. It's if you still have some, I suggest maybe trying to go back and get it. It's worth having, that's for sure. And then the Insane in the Membrane, that thing was so crazy vigor. Uh I started working it out of the garden just because I couldn't friggin' control it.
really?
Seriously, I mean, yeah, I mean, all through growing it. I'm telling everybody, you better flip this thing at like 8 inches because it was hitting the top of my tents and bending over like a foot.
Yeah.
And yeah, just crazy, but it was a good strain. I'm still running it, and
I haven't run that one.
I'd like no. Which
Not in.
so
I've run Sweet Insanity, but not Insane in the Membrane.
what all have of the Ethos have you ran so far?
Oh, okay. So Grandpa's was my first. So Grandpa's Stash. Let's see, and then Citradelic Sunset. And I still run Citradelic. That shit is fire. And I mean, it's just frosty and beautiful and smells really good. And, so let's see what else. The Citradelic Sweet Insanity, Grape Diamonds, Candy Store. Oh, good Lord. I know I'm forgetting them. Grape Diamonds, absolute hands down favorite. Oh, Lilac Diesel. That's number 2. Grape Diamonds, Lilac Diesel. Grandpa or Blueberry Obama, the Lovin' in Her Eyes cut. That's Lovin' in Her Eyes, right?
I'm the lavender and the grape interest me. How are both of those?
Oh, Grape Diamonds is just, I described it like if someone took a piece of grape hubba bubba gum and just dropped it in some fucking gas. And it is just delicious and frosty and beautiful plant. It is just a beautiful plant when it fades out. It just, the colors come out, and oh my God, it was so sad to finally harvest it when it was ready, because she just was, yeah, she's something. So yeah, and Lilac Diesel, same. I mean, and hers, that smoke is a little bit more floral. And I actually have a patient that said it was the most delicious weed she's ever smoked. And she said it was like enjoying a nice cup of tea on an afternoon. That's how she described it. I was like, that's a fucking Rasta Jeff description if I've ever heard one. So I'm like, you should have a job. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good description for lilac diesel.
Yeah, it sounds very appealing for sure. For sure. So what all? I mean, with that being said, what are you running currently? If you don't mind me asking.
I just harvested a blueberry Obama and a blueberry muffin by Humboldt. And then let's see. I have a Citradelic Sunset that's coming ready. Peach Crescendo. Oh yeah, Crescendo, Peach Crescendo. Those are two to add to the Ethos list. Peach Crescendo is coming down, and that's when the other group is moving over. So the Mac and the Jupiter OG and the Lemon Candy and the Candy Store are all moving over. So yeah, pretty wide variety. I think, it's just, I'm sure people probably think I'm crazy running that many strains, but I like Roots 707 soil. I run that first for a while through veg and everything, just gets them real nice and healthy. And then I run Bloom yellow bottles after that through flower. And that's an Australian company. I found them at a, Grow Green in Whitmore Lake. Yeah. That's my favorite store. And they do their well, except for this year, they do their Grow Green Expo. And Yellow Bottles was there. And I had seen them before on, oh God, what's that guy's, the podcaster? Mr. Growit. Mr. Growit was using, because I watch Mr. Canucks Grow. I watch Mr. Growit. Shout out to all those guys. I've learned from all of them. That's all I do is watch. I'm such a nerd. I just sit there and watch growing podcasts all the time. But yeah, so he was using them. I guess they had sent him some to try it out, and he was really impressed with it. And so when I saw them at the Grow Green Expo, I was stoked because I was like, well, shit, I'd like to try them, but I hadn't seen any of the local grow stores carrying it. So yeah, and the dude straight from Australia, Australian accent and everything, loaded me up with all the little like tiny bottles, the entire line, just sent me home with all of them for free. And I was like, sweet. And, because of course, when I first started out, I was running advanced, I'm like, that looks good, pH balance, typical. Yeah. But it works. It fucking works. But, then after a while, I'm kind of like, I don't know. You've run advanced?
Oh no, I've never.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, well, I smoked it, and I mean, I don't know, maybe it was me. I didn't think it had much flavor. And so I'm kind of like, this doesn't really have much flavor. And then somebody had told me, that for some reason, advanced zaps the terps. And I don't know if that's true or not, whatever. But I just decided to try a different nutrient line the next time I ran a whole nother line or a whole nother plant. And so I switched over, and I've done the whole gamut, like started off with Fox Farm and then moved to advanced, and then the whole, what was next? Veg Bloom. Yeah, Veg Bloom GH. And I still keep going back to Bloom. Bloom is nice, but I've been watching Embracing Organics, and shout out to all those guys too. I learn a lot from them every week also, and I am going to start trying to do my own organic soil. I'm intrigued. I'm going to start doing it.
Nice, nice. How leery are you of that?
The organic soil, I am a little bit. I mean, it seems kind of daunting, listening to them talk about everything that they add. No, you got to be careful of this because of where it's sourced, and but then again, that's what I'm doing when I go to the store and I buy the Roots Organic 707, is I'm just trusting that this company thought of all those things also. So, um, I it's intriguing. It's interesting to me. So, um, I've been trying to like absorb as much of that as I can, the embracing organics, and um, trying to figure it out. And Soup's website, Growers Love, is a fantastic website too. And Coot, Court, Clackamas Coot, and been scouring his website and all his stuff too. And I'm slowly learning, but I am the thing I'm kind of concerned about is starting it indoors and then getting like some sort of pest problem or something and then having it transfer. I don't know. I mean, I do IPM, but I don't want them. I just don't want them. So I guess that's the only part that makes me nervous.
Right. Yeah, I'm on the cusp myself of wanting to go organic. I'm a cocoa grower right now, cocoa and salts.
Okay.
But you know, sustainability is something that I'm really key into looking into. You know what I mean? I'm a full out caregiver, so I'm constantly flipping plants. And although I do reuse my cocoa, it only to a point. You know what I mean? And I just
Yeah.
get tired of chucking shit out. So at some point, I'm thinking organics or something I can reuse. Maybe a living bed just kind of makes sense if I can dial it in.
Right. Yeah, I know.
But
I've been, trying to lean that way because it just seems so much easier in the long run than every time, I go down to the grow, it's like mixing up all these different bottles according to whatever week they're in, and I mean, not that I mind that. It's all kind of like a meditative process for me. So even just to add it, measuring it out and adding every little thing is all just kind of soothing to me. But in the long run, I can see where organics really, you know, not only is it better for the environment because you're not using all those plastic bottles, but it's probably just easier and better in the long run, cheaper, the whole route. And the plants probably enjoy it better too. I don't know. Do they really enjoy all those salts being run through them? I don't know.
probably not. Probably not.
I don't know.
So, well, let's talk about a little bit, if you don't mind, your indoor system. Can you told us a little bit. You're in the pretty much the roots there, but what kind of size pots? What lights? I mean, tell us a little bit. Let us peek in a little bit, if you will.
All right. Yeah. I usually, well, I guess it's about 12 by 20 flower room. I have like a separate veg and a separate flower. And the veg room, has my clones and my seeds. And so I pretty much just have like um, a rotating system in there also. So every plant is like different age. And I try to just pop everything every 4 weeks in there too. So it just is kind of a persistent or consistent transfer. And then in there, I'm running, well, of course, originally I was running those HPS, but I was also looking at my electric bills and pretty much, yeah, that I had to figure out a way to get those down. And plus the heat, it was just crazy down there. So that's when I started switching over to LED and doing my research. Of course, I bought the budget blurples in the beginning, off Amazon and stuff. And they work. I mean, they worked real good, I guess, for a while. But uh, then, as listening to Dude Grows and stuff, they were just, touting HLG and Rapid LED and all these others. So I started looking into those, and I ended up getting some HLGs. I have some HLG 550 B specs in veg. And then in the flower room, I have the R specs. I have 4 R specs, and then I just picked up a Laura Flux 8-blade, which is fucking phenomenal. They are a new company out of Detroit. Have you heard of them yet?
No, I haven't. No,
Yeah.
Tell me about them, please.
Yeah, they're new. I know that Mitten Canico is running them. Michigan Matt and his crew down there in Jackson are running them in their veg room. I don't think they're running them in flower. But yeah, when I saw that Laura Flux had sent them some, I was, curious about it. And so, they looked like they were doing great. So I put my order in on one. And actually the contractor that renovated my grow last year was in sales for them. And he had mentioned them at that time, and he was kind of pushing them. And he's like, you need to get one of these Laura Flux 8-blades. But you don't really ever buy something that you haven't heard that somebody else has tried before. At least I don't. And so I'm like, yeah, that's cool, dude. But, come back to me when somebody else has run it that says it's awesome, and so I waited. And then of course now they're going gangbusters. So they're selling out all their pre-sales and everything, but I was lucky enough to get in on a pre-sale and got one, and man, it is nice. I mean, it's huge. It's like, what is it, 5x5, I think, the actual light itself. So it's big.
Nice. I like the new lights, the LEDs like that. I mean, you get one pretty much. I mean, depending on your space, I know I'm getting in my tents 100% coverage with my, 8-blade lights like that.
Yeah.
I love them. I love them,
Yep.
to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the Laura Flux and the HLGs. I mean, they just kill it every time. Ever since I've bought those, I'm like, yep. Now I see why Scotty and Dude and Guru always talk about, vote with your dollars and all that. It makes a difference because, I mean, compared to, HPS do their thing. Don't get me wrong, they do, and a lot of people grow some killer weed with that. But the LEDs are coming along, and they're doing some great things. So I think Rasta Jeff had just tried some Black Sale Market. I'd love to try out a Black Sale Market also, and so that might be on the agenda in the near future too. But he just was reluctant to switch over to LEDs, I think he said. And then he got some of those Black Sales, and they kill it. They really do. So not only do they save you some money on electric, but they kill it. You can't deny it.
How many runs under your LEDs? I mean, you seem pretty sold on them. How many have you had since you switched?
Oh my God. I don't know. Maybe, geez.
It's hard to tell
lot.
when you run a Perpetual.
Yeah, Perpetual. It's so hard.
Yeah,
because I'm trying to think back at when I bought the HLGs. And I think I've had those for like a year and a half. God, I don't know. I can't remember what I had for fucking breakfast. But I don't know. I want to say like maybe 20. I don't know. I have no idea. But enough to know that, holy shit, this light is awesome. That's enough. That's how many.
Yeah, they are good lights. I'm sold on the whole 8 or LED side of things. I actually had one of these started going out. Yeah, I thought it was out yesterday. I had a ballast go out, and I switched the ballast, and then I fired it up, and it was blinking. It would get to like full spectrum, and then it would shut back down. It went like that for a while, and I thought, ah, great, it's the fixture. And at that
Yeah.
point, I started fishing around with some of the LED companies I talked to, and what do you guys do me for at least 110? You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
so I got a few prices, and I almost was on almost a done deal, and then I swapped out the bulb, and she fired up and stayed true, and I was like,
Oh, nice. Save the day.
yeah. And then I was speaking with Chris Mertz last night on the
Uh-huh.
show, on the rabbit hole portion of the show, and he was telling me that he anticipates like a good price break in like 60 days. He's like, you can just hold out, you know. I'm like, I could gimp it along 60 more days to save some cash. That ain't too bad. I can make it work.
What's in 60 days?
Yeah, you just well, the next wave of technology, which will make like the current stuff
I see. Okay.
clearance, just like the new car aspect type thing. You know, the next wave of technology is coming out, making this one cheaper. He also stated just the way they produce them has become a lot cheaper itself.
Right.
So I'm
Well,
excited though.
I don't know much about all the manufacturing. Like I know that people buy those the quantum boards, like put them all together themselves, and I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, I like to do some shit myself, but I'm gonna leave that to the experts. Thanks. I'll just buy it. I'll just buy it and I'll put it. I know how to hang it. I can hang it myself. And Ross and Jeff showed me how to put some portable air conditioning unit in my basement. So I got that going. I got that solved.
Sounds like you got a pretty good handle on things. That's the way it is right now. I mean, it sounds like you've got things on point. You want to tell me a little bit about, like you say, your technique in veg? I mean, do you let them grow straight up? Do you let it scrog them out?
I've
How
tried
do you work
all
things
of
over
it.
there?
Yeah, I've tried all of it because it's just so fascinating to me. Like, when I first started, I saw that somebody had kind of bonsai'd it. And so I took one of my plants, the poor thing. I just took it and then put pins on, and then just kind of maneuvered it all the way around the pot and pinned it down. And so all the lower branches just kind of all grew up around the big main stalk. And I mean, it looked fucking crazy, but it was cool. But I just quickly decided that wasn't the way that I wanted the rest of the grows to go. So I tried that with the one plant, and then I started trellising. I started doing a scrog. And so, oh my God, that was a nightmare though, because how do you water the back plants? Yeah, when you've got them wall to wall, and then you trellis and you double trellis and you triple trellis, and I mean, I'm not 25 anymore, and getting down on your hands and knees and crawling under that fucking net is not the thing you want to do day in and day out. So I decided quickly. I kind of like to be able to maneuver the plant too. Like I like to move them around in veg and in flower. Like every day I move them, like it's a quarter turn, a half a turn. I just kind of like, I just think that maneuvering it a little bit gets a little different light angle on each, part of the plant, and just helps it grow evenly. And so in a scrog, you just don't have the freedom to do that at all. And so I pretty much use bamboo poles. I'm the old school bamboo pole, and that soft garden wire. I like the soft garden wire. And then just put 4 out, or tomato cages. But for God's sakes, how deep will you get some more back in stock? it's like I've been waiting forever. You can't even find them online either. But yeah, I'm missing some tomato cages. I need some more tomato cages because I like to do that too, like tomato cage them and then garden wire them out. And then in flower, I like to use those little yo-yos. Just yo-yo them up. And sometimes I like to let them do the natural thing and flop over. And I love to take pictures of the undersides of the buds. I think almost the undersides of the buds are more beautiful than the top can be at times. So yeah, it just depends on what that plant does in flower and what I do, over there. But I don't tend to trellis anymore because I just kind of think that they just, want to do their own thing. So I just try to, get them to the sides of the pot as much as I can and then let them go.
I find letting them droop a little bit, like you said, tends to bring out a little bit more THC, makes them a little bit more terpy if you just kind of let them flop.
Okay.
I mean, not to the point to where they break, but when they're stressing a little bit, I've noticed a little bit better production out of both, both terps and trichomes like that.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do a taste test. Maybe I'll try that with the Irie, and run two, like an orange gasm and a lemon Jeffrey, and run two and let one flop and yo up the other ones and see what happens. I'm gonna test your theory.
Right, I dig it. Let me know your results.
I will.
Please.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. I've been wanting to run both of those strains for a long time, and so I finally had space in my rooms and got the seeds and started running them.
So man, you do take some beautiful, you definitely have an eye for a good bud shot, that's for sure. I mean, are those all cell phone pictures that you take in there, or do you actually have a nice camera in there and you're like, just have an eye for it?
It is a Galaxy S9 Plus. They have a really good camera, and they have like a pro mode. So you just go into like the more options, and there's a pro mode, and you can set it to whatever you want. And it's pretty good. And then I just invested in, because I hear Guru talking all the time about macro lenses for the smartphones. If you don't want to, because I'm not a photographer, and so I don't want to go invest in a whole bunch of camera equipment. I'd rather spend that money on some cool shit for my ladies. So I decided to just buy this little Amazon $40, was it Zenvo, I think was the brand, macro lens, and it takes some pretty good pictures. I was actually kind of impressed. It has like a wide angle, and then it has like a 15 times macro, and you can get a real good shot of the trichomes. And so that's been kind of fun playing around with that and trying to figure out how to manipulate it to make things look good. And we'll see what happens with my experimentation with that. But I'm going to leave the professional photographer stuff up to, I have a friend that's a professional. I can't say those two words together. Professional photographer. And you really need to get into nug shots. Do you follow that guy on Instagram, Eric Nugshots? Fantastic.
I can't say right off the hand that I do, but I follow so many people. There's a good chance. There's a good chance that I'm following him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating. And so I keep telling her, you should get involved in cannabis photography. Fuck all that wedding shit. She doesn't, want to do that stuff anymore anyway. So like, start cannabis photography. But yeah, I'll stick to my little unprofessional Amazon macro lens for now.
I've seen your pictures. They look great. I mean, you're doing for
Thanks.
a cell phone. You definitely have an eye for it. The perfect lighting. You do a good job.
Thank
For sure.
you. I appreciate it.
You're right. Everybody does love good nug shots. I mean, your friend, that is something she should definitely think about for sure. I mean,
I know. I keep telling her, but she's interested. So maybe one of these times I can get her over. I keep telling her to come over like right when it's, about harvest time and get some good shots and try it out. So we'll see if I can't get her to come on over and do that this harvest maybe.
so, well, let's talk flower a little bit. I mean, sounds like you've got a pretty good thing there. Are you just like pulling and restocking as one comes out, one goes in? I mean, is that basically how you operate the perpetual there?
I try not to do per plant. I usually like to flip like 6 at a time. So when I pull one out when it's ready, and then I wait to flip all 6 until all 6 are done. So I
Okay.
wait and rotate it then because I don't want to get confused as to like what their time frame is, and start like that would be yeah, with all the different strains, and if they were all on different weeks and all that would be a lot. That'd be a lot. So I try to make sure that I only have like 2 different uh, time frames in that flower room at the same time.
So, roughly, how big of plants are we talking here? What size pots are you running in flower?
Oh yeah. I'd usually run anywhere from 7 to 10. A lot of times I like the 7. I run radical bags. I really, really like the radical bags. Um, have you heard radical bags?
Oh yeah, yes,
Okay.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
The people at the local grocery store had no clue what I was talking about. I'm like, you've not heard of radical bags? They're the shit. Um, so yeah, usually 7-gallon radical bags, and I have some 10-gallon fabric pots. So I usually will just kind of rotate. If I run out of the radical bags, then they go in the fabric pots. But usually I try to keep them no more than 10 anyway inside. But I had some girls that just got too big this year, and I was cutting them back, and they just wanted to go. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at outdoor this year. So May came around, and I was like, you know what, girls, it's time for you to get a little real sun. So I put them outside, and they're trees. I don't know. I don't know. They're making me nervous.
All ethos out there, all ethos.
I've got nope. I've got a Cherry Garcia. That's Ethos. Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. Cherry Garcia. Oh, that's just delicious. Um, Cherry Garcia's out there. I've got a Citralic Sunset, a Crescendo, 2 blueberry muffins, a can. Ugh, I'm giving away all my stuff. This is not a good idea, is it? This is a lot. I got a lot.
Oh, it's
Yeah. I mean, I'm not over my limit, people.
no,
Still within the
no,
limits.
no.
Everything's all locked too. Everything's locked. It's locked down. You can't get in.
You know, the crescendo is a good one. Sequence 3, Michigan Bros Grow Show there was growing that one out. I mean, that was a good strain. I was
Yeah.
pretty impressed with that. And
Yeah. I have quite a few people that like that one. I mean, my brother Trip does.
uh, um, yeah, how are they? Is it the ethos that made you kind of want to test your hand outside? I mean, a lot of them genetics are very bigger as far as the ethos go. I mean, do you find that across the board with those genetics that they're pretty vigorous across the board?
Yeah. I have not found uh and with all those strains, and I know that I'm forgetting some too that I've run. But they're all great, no matter what nutrient line I run, no matter, I mean, it's obvious that it points to the genetics, that they're just solid. So yeah, I just decided to try them outside, and Cherry Garcia is stacking up like your mom. I can't even, I don't know what I'm going to do about it, because I don't know how I'm going to keep it from bud rot. I just have no idea. I mean, they're going to be the size of my forearm by the time they're done. So we'll see. I'm just, fingers crossed, watering them every day. That's the other thing I like to do. Is just, the meditative part is I hand water. I see all these people with these drip systems, and I'm like, that is so cool. That is awesome that they have this technology and they know how to do all this stuff and run these lines, and everything is automated, and then they have less risk of fungus gnats and pests and stuff. But there's just something about watering them by hand. And I think I heard you say, didn't you say that you hand water too on the Rasta Jeff
Oh,
interview?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
just something about it. I don't know, like, just, here you go, little girl, and I don't know. I'm a lunatic, but I talk to them too. I talk to all of them. And I think that it shows in my end product. I really do. So I think that they know that they're loved, and it just all comes back around in the end.
Oh, I believe that's 100% true. It's 100% true. I agree with you. There was something about the whole cultivation side of it. I enjoyed the cannabis plant. When I used it, just smoking it, recreationally at that point. But when I actually started growing the plant, it actually, took on a whole new meaning. That meditation, like almost state that you're talking about, is very true, man. That first crop had me hooked. It did, man. Ever since then, man, it's like one of my favorite times of the day, places to be. Going in there and
Yep,
checking, make sure everything's okay, and melt.
exactly.
You can just melt away into it. You can just melt right into them girls.
It's
Great
just all
time.
nice and warm in there, and the fans are going, and everybody's waving at you, and it's like, I don't know, where else would you want to be?
Right on. Right on. I
My
totally.
cats love it. My cat is my fungus gnat IPM. I did a COVID good deed, and I adopted 3 kittens around the beginning of COVID. Oh no, actually it was 420. It was 420. How did I forget? Oh my God. Yeah. I picked him up on 420. And one of them is just, they're all from the same litter. And one of them loves to go down when I'm down in the grow. And I don't know if it's the warmth or whatever, but he stands next to the radical bags and he waits for a fungus gnat. And if he sees one, then he's just like, it's gone. And I'm like, that's awesome. I IPM. So, I don't have a ton of them. So I'm like, go for it. It's just the bedroom. It's not like he's, all over the flowers or anything. But yeah,
Right
it's kind
on.
of family affair down there.
Sounds like a pretty cool guy, that's for sure. I can just picture it just sitting there, just kind of watching. All of a sudden, like, just like waiting for that perfect opportunity to swipe it right out of there. That's
Yep.
funny.
I
That's
actually
funny.
caught him in a video. I was filming my Irie girls yesterday. Was it yesterday? I don't know. And of course I'm like panning down, and then all of a sudden I see him in the corner doing his thing, and I'm like, for Christ's sake, Tank. He's in my video. I'm like, well, special guest appearance by the fungus gnat IPM. So I think he's, yeah, in my last post on Instagram, you'll see him in the corner.
Um, so any ticks and trips that ticks, tips and tricks that you can offer in the bedroom or a flower room? I mean, do you like to de-leaf or anything like that?
Tips or tricks for the flower room?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, um, let me see. Probably, well, recharge it up. I mean, that's all I can say. Once I discovered recharge, I'm like, holy shit. I mean, I even use it on my lawn. I use it on plants outside. I had this one plant that was just kind of like, it's all like sad. And I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'm just put some recharge on there, see if it helps. And whoosh, the next day, she was like, what's going on? I like, yeah. So recharge, I like once a week, through, I usually do it through the 5th week of flower, and then I stop with the recharge. And as far as tricks, your lights, just making sure they're at the right distance away. And I've been guilty. I have had to write into the DGC like, what happened to my tips? My tips are white. What's wrong with my plants? So just experimenting with the canopy height and how far away the lights are from it. And yeah, pretty much make sure there are no light leaks. I had one, and I know this is what caused it, even though people are like, I don't think that that's what caused it. I know this is what caused it. I had a dehumidifier that I never noticed the LED light was so bright. And when I went in there, like late into flower one time, I went in there and I was like, what is that light? And that plant that was right in front of the dehumidifier hermed. And I'm like, it had to be that. It had to be that. So light leaks and IPM. I use Mammoth P Bio up until like only until flower, usually. And by then I don't usually have too much of an issue. I use nematodes every now and then, but not religiously. And I don't really have too many problems, knock on wood. But believe me, I had a bout with thrips one year. Oh my God, they were a nightmare. I pretty much had to scrap everything finally and just do a complete, haul out. So that was not fun, but yeah, you just got to make sure your environment's right. I got one of those Pulse One grow monitor systems. Awesome. I can't believe it took me this long to buy it. So now I can just, when I'm at my friend's house, I got to make sure that, everything's cool. The lights are on, humidity's good. My VPD is good, so it's just been awesome. And it makes a big difference because there are a couple of times where like all of a sudden the humidity went way up and my dehumidifier wasn't draining right. And so, yeah, the bucket needed to be emptied. And so I caught it. But yeah, you just got to make sure that everything is stable and consistent, like consistency. Because when you vary it, they're like, some of them don't like it. Some of them can handle it, but some of them don't. So, and that's the fun part. It's trying to figure out that kind of stuff for me. But it can also prove very costly in the long run if it doesn't pan out.
Very true. So, well, I guess that leads us up to at least harvest indoors here. I mean, how do you go about your harvest? You like to just cut them and hang?
I'm experimenting actually because I've heard so many things about the dark period before harvest. And like all these people are trying like, 48 hours, whatever they're doing. So this harvest, I'm experimenting, and my blueberry Obama and the muffin that I just cut down, or I shouldn't say cut down because I haven't cut them down yet. I removed them from the flower room and put them over in the drying area in complete darkness. And they've been in there for 48 hours now. So now they're due. I probably will chop them down tonight. I hate that word. I hate that term, but yeah, I'll probably cut them later night and see if it made a difference. I don't know. Have you ever experimented with that? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that whole dark period before?
I have tried it, 48 hours of darkness. And to be honest with you, I've never really noticed a noticeable difference. To be
Okay.
honest with you. I'm not going to deter you from trying to get your results. But personally, I didn't notice enough to, take the time.
All right.
You
Well,
know what
then
I
that,
mean?
yeah, I'm going to experiment on this one time and see if I notice anything. If I don't, then I'm not going to waste the extra 2 days. But usually what I do is I like to chop them whole plant last hour before the lights come on. So like at the very last moment before they are awakened is what I like to take the chop, and I hang them whole plant. I think it dries too quickly if you take them in sections. I've done that too. I've done all of it. I've tried like just every little branch and hanging it. And I've tried whole plant. I've tried like half of the plant, like take this big branch and this, divide it into the 4 big main branches, and but I've just found that I have like a stand downstairs built out of PVC pipe, and I just put them on there and dry them out once they're hanging, and hopefully within 5 to 10 days, they're good to be trimmed. And then the fun begins.
I'm enjoying the fact that you're kind of methodical about the chop there. You're like 1 hour before the light comes on. I go in there, whisper in their ear, "You'll never see another day."
Oh,
Practically.
oh my God. I have this whole ritual. I do. I have this whole ritual, and I go in there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to sound like a fucking lunatic, but this is what I do, people.
Not at
This is what
all.
I do. I go in there and I'm like, you were such a beautiful lady. I want to thank you for growing up to be such a beautiful lady and for letting me be your mom and take care of you. And now you're going to retire to the spa and you're going to live out a great life and make people so happy. And then, yeah. And then it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. They're like, what happened? All of a sudden they're in heaven.
I can't feel my feet.
Exactly. So yeah, and I don't know, I've heard somewhere where it's best to do it when they're like fully asleep like that, like right before the lights come on. I don't know, it's just all fucking crazy hearsay probably, but that's what I do. So generally that's, I try to make it as humane as possible. Like I want to go in there with the lights on and like with machetes and stuff, but I don't know. What do you usually do for harvest?
Oh, it's fun stuff. I experimented with a little bit of everything, to be honest with you. I like to wet trim, to be honest with you. If I have my way, I like to wet trim. I do have a dryer, and my herbs now a dryer I try to use that as much as I can, but I overflow, it backs up. So at that point, I do a little bit of hanging, but I despise dry trimming. I really
Oh,
do, because I've
tell me about
trained
it.
myself to wet trim for so long, and I've been lazy about it because I've trained myself very well on the wet trim to where I get close enough to where like anything I miss kind of just recedes into the bud, and then
Okay.
I'm good. You know what I mean? I don't really need another trim after it's dried. It's all cure after that. But when I find myself dry trimming, I know that's it. You know what I mean? What leaves my finger at that point? So I find myself being way too damn tedious on
Yeah.
the dry stuff, and it just takes me too much longer. To where wet trim, I'm just like tossing it
Really?
aside, and yeah.
Doesn't it get all stuck to the scissors though? I've never actually done a wet trim.
Oh, it does, but that's the best part. I actually keep this right here in my scissors, and I just every so often I clean it off, and I set that off in a shot glass, and then I smoke that scissor hash at the end of the night, and it's a good sample of, what I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
get
yeah.
out of that flower, and yeah,
Scissor
I,
hash is good.
it doesn't take that much extra to just clean them off every now and again. Just keep blowing through it, but they can
Yeah,
get sticky depending on the strain. That's for sure. It's a good sticky though. It's a good
that's
sticky, and
true.
sometimes that's just an indicator for a break. To throw that resin ball on top of a bowl and see what it's about.
That's a good idea. Maybe next time that's what I'll have to do. But yeah, trimming, I don't know. I've been kind of checking out those like the what do they call it? Not the trim bin, but the like dry trim thing that you
Bags.
put. My cat is making an appearance here. I apologize. She wants her 15 minutes of fame now. So anyway, yeah, I've been kind of researching those things where it tumbles around and the parent allegedly trims it for you and stuff, but I just can't see how that is effective or works. But I don't know if somebody's out there that's tried it. I will check the chat and see if anybody's tried any of those bins, because believe me, I'm to the point now where like yeah, I loathe trim. I mean, and we all do. We all loathe. That's the worst part of it. It's the dirty dishes of cannabis, and nobody wants to do it. But it has to be done, or obviously, the whole point of growing is for naught. So yeah, maybe I'll try the wet trim on one of my plants and see how I like it this time around.
So, kind of stepping outdoors there. How much different was it this year for the? I mean, how much bigger were you able to go on the outdoor?
Outdoor, well, right now they're about 8 feet. And my basement ceiling I think is only like, I don't know, 7. So yeah, they quickly out. I kept cutting them down because I didn't count right in my when I had the grow renovated last fall. I was like thinking in my head, okay, no, the grow will be done by this point, and so I can start my clones now and then rip everything down and it'll be done by this point. And so I had all these clones at one point over on my drying area because nothing was over there. So I had them just all kind of like in a little section of the basement starting up. So I had all these clones and all these seeds at different, ages. And the grow didn't get done in time, and so those were getting big. And then once I put them in the veg room, when it was done and everything was right, the environment was good, and they just exploded. And I'd go down there every day and I'm like, holy shit, they grew like 6 inches. I don't know what, like, I don't want to cut them all down, like all that nice growth. So the 6 of them, I just finally was like, you know what, I'm just not even going to rotate them into the flower room. I'm just going to put them outside and see what happens. So I wrote into Dude Grows and said, am I going to have to cover these? And of course, my neighbor, which I'm gonna see if I open these, if I open my curtains, you can probably see the fucking reflection of my neighbor's light that I'm concerned is going to be an issue. So hold on one second. I'm gonna open these. Yep, you can see the reflection of the light in the window. Can you see it like right up there?
Okay. Yeah, that could be a
You barely
bummer
see
there.
that blue light glowing in that window. But anyway, I wrote in because I was concerned that put my ear thing in. I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to, they were going to flower or it was going to harm them. You know, I didn't know. So we'll see what happens. I was going to build a hoop house and do all this shit for them. And then, you know, some other friends of mine here in Michigan grow and they grow outdoors and they're like, you don't cover them. I'm like, really? You don't cover them at all? Nope. I'm like, do you get bud rot? Nope. Well, okay, I guess I'll try it.
Is it like when you're by the plants, is it any brighter than the moon would be on a good night?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, that thing
Yeah.
is bright. It's one of those vapor lights, one of those old ass farm vapor lights. And, you know, and I'm going to shout them out or call them out, I should say. Dude and Scotty, they just made another video on YouTube about it, like a little short when they had their YouTube strike. They keep calling me a dude, and come on, guys, I'm not a dude. Yeah, but yeah. So I'm just gonna leave them out there and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The people behind me are deaf, and they use that light as security. I mean, I don't feel like I have any right to go over there and say, "Can you turn that fucking thing off?" It's really fucking up my cannabis plants, you know? Like, I just can't. I just can't do it.
I think you would have somewhat of a legitimate right, but you know, I could see not wanting to as well. But hopefully it doesn't affect them. You know, cannabis are very resilient plants, and hopefully they just recognize that as like a moonlight. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for the best. I mean, Cherry Garcia is setting up really nicely. The ones in the back are Blueberry Muffin. Um, and they went into like a re-veg. Like I put them out and they started to flower and then they went into a re-veg. And now one of them is kind of flowering and the other one's kind of like, what's happening? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with her, but I keep feeding her. We'll see what happens.
Right on. So are you gonna go again next year?
Outdoor, it's going to depend on how this goes. I don't know. I've got so much going on indoor. It's almost to the point where it's getting to be too much. I mean, because I like to go around and inspect every single plant every day and look at, you know, top to bottom, like look at underneath the leaves and look to see what's going on. Do they have a nutrient deficiency? Every single plant and hand water, you know. I did have an experiment. I did an experiment with cocoa. I was using Royal Gold Tooper. And I'm just trying to figure out what I like best, like cocoa, soil, you know, an organic soil eventually. But so what the fuck was I talking about? Now I've just lost my train of thought. That must mean it's time to smoke.
It's a good time to smoke, that's for sure. You
But
were kind of roughly talking about the different mediums you were liking, and kind of
I don't
lost
remember
it.
what my whole point was to that whole story, but you'll find that I tend to do that. My friend, if she's watching, is probably like, she's always like, okay, now from here to here, bring it on home. Bring it on home.
Oh, you've done well so far. You've done well so far. That's for sure.
Well, thanks.
So talk about trimming. I mean, how badly, without like kind of numbers there, how badly are you gonna dread the harvest outdoors at this point? I mean, when you said 8 foot, you should have seen the look on your face. It was like this, like, oh no, kind of like you said 8 foot, and you kind of,
Yeah,
oh
that
no,
because yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly what I was thinking of, was the trimming of it. I mean, they're beautiful, they're healthy, gorgeous trees, but the thing I think about when I look at them is trimming, and I think I'm to the point now where I'm gonna have to hire people to do it, because I just, I got a full-time job. It's two on top of being a caregiver. So until I can, transition out of that job and just do this full time, then yeah, I just, if you think about it, I mean, each plant takes a long time, and generally I'm very tedious, and I find that I am like, quality controlling it too much. So at the beginning of COVID, I had a couple girls that were out of work because they were in the, service industry. And so they trimmed for me, and that helped me out a lot. And I was like, this is kind of nice. I mean, at this point, I would gladly pay somebody else to do it, because it's just, takes a toll on your back and your neck. And oh my God, it's just, and then you look at how many hours you've spent doing it, and then you look at what you have left to do. It's like fucking painting. Like when you think painting a room is a good idea, and you're like, oh, this is going to be great, it's going to be awesome, and then you start doing the cutting in, and then you get tired of doing that within like 10 minutes, and then you look at the rest of the room and you're like, oh God, I just started and I already hate this. That's trimming.
You just very accurately described how I feel about painting.
Exactly. I know. I mean, you think it's going to be a great idea, and yeah, it's going to be awesome when it's done. But as soon as you start it, you're like, oh fuck. It's like what I hear some people are taught when they have babies. I don't have one of those by choice, but yeah, I hear that that's what happens. You're like, oh, they have a baby and it's terrible and the birth is awful, and then you forget about how terrible it is. I guess I could liken it to a tattoo too, because I have a couple of those, and yeah, you forget how bad it hurts until you do it again. So yeah, it's got to be kind of similar.
Not really, because I'd say you like the pain of the tattoo somewhat. I mean,
Oh,
you go back.
well, yeah. Art, I don't know. Do I like sitting there for 6 hours and having this needle get jammed in me? No. I mean, but no, that's not really too much. It's not really, I know that some people say it's meditative and they just sit there and enjoy the pain, and I get that too. That's you. I get
Very
it.
much so.
But no, I could be like, yeah, like sprinkle fairy dust. Yes, your tattoo's done. Sweet. That would be my choice. Who do I pay?
Right on, right on. Nothing wrong with that. At least at least you're a fan of the work. That's for sure. I
Oh yeah.
appreciate the tattoos.
That's
So, yeah, by the way, that's a nice sleeve you have there. By the way,
thanks. Yeah, it's getting old now. I mean, I don't know. Like this from
still looks
here,
good.
thanks. From here to here is the 3/4 I got here in Michigan. And then now with my tattoos, I have my whole back done too, and my neck up to the hairline, a little bit into the hairline. And yeah, now I do travel tattoos. So whenever I travel somewhere, well, not currently, but eventually again, I'll probably get another one. But yeah, so I get a travel tattoo. So I finished this in Scotland and Hawaii, and then more Polynesian on my neck from Hawaii, and then LA. And yeah, so that's my new thing, is I like to go and get a tattoo wherever I travel.
That's pretty cool. That's really cool. I have a
Thanks.
friend of mine, Alan, that does the very same thing. He everywhere he goes, he like researches art, like all the local artists in the area, like looks at their pages and stuff, and then makes an
Yep, that's
appointment before he even
exactly
goes
what I
down
do.
there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, you want to make sure you're getting, you know, a reputable person and somebody that's a good artist. And yeah, so that's exactly what I do. And Scotland and Ireland, I just, checked it out. And of course, I picked a shop that had 13 in the name because that's my favorite number, 3 and 13. And so, yeah, it all worked out. And it always seems to. It just like, oh, yeah, that person. And then you research them. And yeah, it's all kind of part of the fun of it.
So, just out of curiosity, is it all floral on your back there? Or you mentioned a little Polynesian on the neck there, but
Yeah, it's a combination of craziness because it's cover-ups. Um, it's a history of fuck-ups. That's what it is. A history of bad decisions. Um, well, my very first tattoo I got when I was 17. I was still in high school, and I thought it was cool because Motley Crue was cool at that time. Even though I didn't even like Motley Crue, I was into like Anthrax and Megadeth and Sex Pistols and Black Flag. And but Motley Crue had this album cover, and I worked at the local Warehouse Records. I don't know how long you've lived in Michigan, but back in the day there was a record store where people went to go buy records. And and yeah, so I worked there, and I was like, that's a fucking cool album cover, the Dr. Feelgood album cover. You remember it with the like serpent in the road or whatever. And so I didn't copy it exactly, but that's what I got. And little did I know, when I was showing somebody at high school when I was 17, I was like, yeah, check this out. That's the person that was the photographer for the yearbook was standing behind me and took a photo. And then the fucking yearbook comes out. My dad is the athletic director and the math teacher. So guess who fucking finds out that Karen's got a tattoo at 17? Yeah, that didn't go over well. But history of bad decisions. After that, it was Snoopy and Woodstock. One day I decided that was a good idea back there. And the ever popular tramp stamp in 1994. Oh God, I'm dating myself. Delete.
Don't feel bad on the tramp stamp there, because I had some like writing done here like not so long ago, maybe last year, and I was pretty happy about it. I liked it. And then I bumped into somebody and they're like, "Hey, the new tramp stamp," and I was like, "Thanks, thanks on that." I feel a
Yep.
lot better about that new tattoo.
Yep.
So I started working up. I immediately started working up the chest there, almost to the neck. So, yeah.
Oh wow.
And
Yeah. That hurts, doesn't it? Like I was dating this guy that had him like a whole piece on his chest. And yeah, he said it didn't tickle.
it would have been. wouldn't have been too bad. I mean, it's all the way up here to, well, it's here to here, you know, and shoulder to shoulder. The eagle and the sunset with it says eagle underneath it, and but I had it done in like a pinch, basically. I didn't. I wanted it done. I wanted it done, so I had the whole piece done in 2 weeks.
Oh,
So I went, yeah, I had
wow.
the outline done in 1 day, and then 3 days, 2 days later. So on the third day, I went back, and he went in and he did all the darkness in it, and then 2 weeks later, I went back in and he put all the color in it, and it was like still just barely healed, just all scar tissue.
I can't
And
believe, did it stay?
oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, you can look at it on Instagram there. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it's a great piece. I mean, it still has a lot of color. I mean,
Holy shit. I can't believe it's that solid when he rushed it.
yeah, yeah. It came
Wow.
out nice
It looks
piece
nice.
for sure.
Yeah. When did you start getting tattoos then?
Oh wow. It started slow, to be honest with you. That guy there was the first one. I think I was 22 when I got that, or probably 20. I was 20 when I got that. I'm 40 something now.
Yeah.
And it just steamrolled. And I'm both legs are actually, I'm done all the way to my toes now.
Oh,
And a
wow.
lot of my
Okay.
chest, my arms, my back is blank, is still pretty blank. Actually, it's funny you mentioned the album cover there because I've actually thought about an album. I've thought about the Tool 10,000 Days album cover where it's kind of looking in on itself. I thought
Uh-huh.
that would just be pretty badass as a back piece, and I'm still pretty partial to that being done back there. But again, I've kind of dragged my feet because and it's selfish. I mean, I don't get to see my back, so it's kind of
Yep.
and I have tattoos already. I forget I even have. You know what I
Yep.
mean? On the back of the legs, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that shit.
That's funny. Yeah. Mine is just a series of cover-ups. So, I mean, there was a huge black dragon on one. I don't know. There's one, I don't know what shoulder this blade is, but there's a big tree there now that covers it up. And then the rest of it's like dragonflies around like a sunset and some water. And then the tramp stamp is converting into um yeah, because it was 3 dragons blowing fire. It was a great decision. 3 dragons, 1 dragon was blowing fire up the spine, and the other 2 were blowing out to the sides. And it was solid black. So, you don't have much of a choice there. So, my tattoo artist, shout out to Sean Peters at Eclectic Art and Tattoo. Um, yeah, he just manipulated it. He's done all my work, all of it, except for the travel, But he started at a tattoo shop when he was 14 years old. When I was 17, he was in there drawing, and and he's been doing it ever since. I was like, that he's going to be awesome, and he is. But yeah, he made the tramp stamp into a big lily, essentially, like a peace lily, not peace lily. What am I thinking of? The ones that come up from the muck. These.
Lotus,
Lotus.
lotus flower.
Jesus Christ. Smoke some more, Karen. Good Lord. So anyway, yeah. Now the back is just kind of like, it's still not even done. I mean, it still needs work. It still needs to be finished, but yeah, it's the top part is all done. It's just the bottom that needs to be worked on. I just, now I'm thinking back to how bad it hurt, and I'm like, oh man, I got to go back.
It's actually, you get to such a point there. I mean, are you at that point now where you're like, it's never going to be done?
I was
I
for a little
actually
bit,
think yeah,
a
yeah.
little, yeah. But I need to finish it because it really is almost done. It just, yeah, I need to finish it. So,
No, I mean with tats in general, not necessarily the back piece, but
oh,
getting
and
done.
um, no, because I want to be able to still have the option when I travel of like being like, you know what, I really want to get a travel tattoo in that spot. So I don't want to rule it out, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely slowing down with the tattoos, as opposed to when I was, younger. But I still like them. They're still art, and my parents hate them and they'll never understand it. And I try to explain it to them like it's still art. It's just on a different medium. It's just not on canvas. It's the canvas is skin. What's the difference? What your vision of what art should be on is, that's silly. So, um, they hate him. They still hate him. But oh well,
That's luckily your parents, and they gotta love you no matter what. So,
Oh yeah, of,
but
of course. But yeah, I mean, when I had my different colored hair, like sometimes I'll show up in Florida with pink hair or purple hair or blue hair, and they're always like, "Oh my god." And I'm like, well, maybe if you had let me get that purple mohawk when I was in high school, I wouldn't look like this. But too late.
so what I'm putting together is it sound like you was exactly kind of what you stated there in the beginning. It sounds like you were a pretty cool punk rock chick. I mean, band, tattooed. I mean, it seemed like you were pretty rebellious, cannabis aside. I mean,
I
I find
tried.
it a little funny that your mom was worried about the cannabis, and I still can't believe the whole punk rock aspect of it was like not even a clue. you
Well,
know,
I am sure she is not dumb. And she said that one statement and she knew that I would be like, oh, I want to be in that fucking will. But so I don't know, but for Christ's sake, she took me to see Megadeth. She bought a ticket and was in the balcony when I was 15 years old. I was in the middle of the mosh pit on the floor. And, she still supported that. Um, while still being really like, oh my God, you can't go to parties and you can't do anything to, tarnish dad's reputation at the school. And, don't fuck up. Basically, don't fuck up publicly. Just don't fuck up publicly. And, I did. Of course I did. Of course I did, because back then, what do you do when you're a kid and you have reins like, uh, you do what you can. So you start drinking. So of course, the booze rolled in and so did the bad decisions. And yeah, so, but quickly by 16, I realized I had a night that I probably should not have made it out of. Like, I'm pretty sure I was 14 at the time, and I had one night with a friend, like, I think she told me 8 beers and a half a fifth of Jack Daniels at 14 years old. And yeah. And then they rolled me home. I was throwing up all over the place. And my mom was like, oh my God, panicked. And should I take you to the hospital? And I'm like, oh, clueless. And I probably should have gone to the hospital. But after that, I was kind of like, ugh, alcohol for a long time. So they didn't really have too much to worry about. But then I got back involved in it in a period when I had stopped smoking. And, you just never make any good decisions when you're drinking. Just don't. So, there were times when, who was it? Was it Rasta Jeff last night that was saying something about, I know where my fucking car is. I get up in the morning and I know that my car is in the garage. There were times where apparently I would drive all over town, my friends back and forth. And the next week they'd be like, that was so much fun. Thanks for driving. And I was like, okay, I didn't drive. And they're like, yeah, you did. You were the most sober. And I was like, I didn't drive. And they're like, you drove us all over town. You were like, yes, I'm sober. Yeah. So after that, I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm done. I mean, occasionally I'll have like a glass of wine or some beer. A beer, usually one. I'm like, I'm done. But nope, alcohol is just not a part of my life anymore. It just makes me make very bad decisions. So yeah. No, thanks. I'll stick to cannabis. I know what I'm doing at all times. I may not remember what I said like 2 seconds ago, but at least I'm safe.
Oh, I can appreciate that. I'm a non-drinker myself. And
Are
did
you?
you ever take that smoke break? I mean, what are you smoking on over there tonight, by the way? I don't think I ever even asked.
I have this is my little Da Vinci IQ. It's a flower vape. I love this thing. So you just pack it with flour and then, you just, oops. Oh, I've dropped it so many times on the floor that now it's temperamental. But yeah, it heats up, it starts heating up, and then it gets to a point you can have like all these different paths, or it heats up like per temperature. You can control the temperature like from 1 to 430 on the side. And yeah, it's just like a little convection oven. You get all the terps and all the yummy flavors of the weed without the combustion. So yeah. And I've got candy store in here. Ethos candy store.
Is it candy like?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to admit, I wish I could say I was like, oh, I love the nasty basement, smells like sweat socks, ugly, fuel-y. Well, I do like fuel, but it's that dank, nasty, putrid puke, kind of terps, not for me. I really like the fruity terps. I like lemon, limonene is probably my favorite. And then floral. I really like the floral ones too. Candy store's got a little bit of combination of both of those that I really like. So that's kind of one of my favorites. And grape diamonds, like I said, it tastes like grape hubba bubba.
I'm only smiling because the way you said it, you said it like you almost hated to admit it.
I do, because it's such a chick answer. It's like the typical chick answer. Like, I like the fruity terps and the ones with flowers, but I do. I can't fucking help it. It's what I like. So, but I do like, I grew out this Blackfire Chem. I went to Colorado by myself last 420, 2019. And, just to check things out. Like I just wanted to check out dispensaries and check out what genetics they had going and took some cannabis tours. went to like, what's that big commercial facility? Not MedMen, but there's one out there that's pretty big. And so I toured that, and I picked up these genetics. Ethos had collaborated with Clone and did a black fire chem. So it was like a black fire and cross with Chem Dog I-95. And woo, I've got that outside. I forgot about her. She's out there too. She's outside enjoying life. But she's finicky. She's real finicky. She always gets deficient real quick and often. She always needs way more food than the rest of them, but she's got kind of that, you know, the chemi terps that I kind of like those too. So that's not a chick answer.
Nobody's judging here. Nobody's judging here.
I know. I know.
I like to come myself. That's a good profile. Currently, I'm kind of like at myself. I'm after the pine. I'm looking for the piney terps.
I heard you tell Ross and Jeff that last night. What strain are you digging right now that has the piney terps?
Right now, as far as what I'm available to smoke, Dominatrix from Empire Breeding Company is one of my favorites.
Okay.
And, Lemon Lava Drops, again from Empire Breeding Company. They're both similar, but backwards. You know, they're from the same breeder, but in the level lemon drops, it's like lemon first with a hint of pine on the back end, which is really good. And then on the Dominatrix, it's the opposite. It's a heavier pine with a little bit of that lemon on the back end, which is really, really enjoyable. But I've got a few others in the, like 4 others, I believe, in the pipe. I've got the J1, Pine Tower Kush. I still believe there's still one back there. I've got the Kineos Lights, and Pine Valley is still kicking around. That I'm kind of, but so far the first 2, the Lemon Lava Drops and the Dominatrix, are kind of, as far as the pine goes, my favorites right now of what's in dark. But you know, to be continued.
Yeah.
To be continued on that. You know, I'm really hoping for some good things here real soon on some of the other ones I just mentioned.
Okay, that's cool. Cool.
So, where do you see yourself going with your cannabis journey here? I mean, do you where do you plan on taking it? At one point, you said you hope you could transition over. Is that something you look forward to doing anytime soon?
Yes, as soon as possible. I'm training somebody at my day job. I'm in the real estate title industry. And so training somebody to kind of like take over for me. So as soon as I can get her to soak up all the knowledge that I can give her, then, and I'm, you know, obviously I've got to make sure that I can feasibly do this financially and all that good stuff. I mean, you know, caregivers don't make a shitload unless you're a commercial facility, you know, so just got to make sure that all that lines up right. And then my big dream is to own a nursery. And so I want to have like of all kinds of plants, just all of them, and then include cannabis, and then just have all different kinds and strains, and people can come and get the plants and get advice and all the stuff that they need to grow it. I want like a little grow store too. And yeah, that's my goal eventually, is to do like have like a small nursery. I don't want anything huge, but just like a nice little nursery where people can come and get cannabis plants and their marigolds and their tomato plants and get them all at the same place and take them home and grow them.
Nice. I like it. It sounds like a pretty cool dream, to be honest with you. Again,
Thanks.
like you pointed it out, I mean, caregivers may not make the whole incredible amount, but isn't it boiled down to like quality of living? I mean, realistically, you're being happy with what you're doing and
That's
loving it.
exactly it. That's exactly it. I have my friend, my closest friend is, sometimes we Snapchat each other what's going on in our days. And I had taken a vacation, and this was in the beginning of July. And I got back from vacation. And my first day back to my day job, I sent her a Snapchat, and it was, she sent it back. She goes, "You are not even the same person when you are talking and working at your day job as opposed to when you're working with your plants." And she's like, "It's night and day. You've got to figure out how to quit that job." So that's what I'm doing. I got to get that girl trained and then start living my dream full time.
Hell yeah. I, that's awesome, to be honest with you. That's awesome. You
Yeah.
should be doing what you love.
Oh my God. The title industry has just gotten so crazy. I mean, it's not even what I went to school for. I mean, I have a degree in interior design from MSU. It's one of those things like who's actually using their degree. Um, but yeah, and so I've just been in that industry for so long, and it's just, you see the realtors and all these other people walking away with these fucking checks, man. And you're just like, I did all the work for you to get that check. So you don't see that we're actually doing the work behind the scenes. And so that's just, can't watch it happen anymore. I just can't. I just can't sit in front of a computer all day anymore. Oh my God, it just drives me crazy. So, yeah, sooner the better. I'm looking forward to it.
I got to tell you, it does not sound appealing, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you. Not even a little bit, to be honest with you. It sounds like a
Yeah.
long day. It sounds like a seriously long day.
It is, but thankfully I'm lucky enough and outside of even COVID times, I'm lucky enough to work from home because, now everything that I do is online and, I'm the behind the scenes. I actually do the research. So I research a piece of property and find out who owns it and all the liens that are on it and like the easements and all the stuff with the land. And I look at maps and numbers all day and, I'm going blind, like just blowing up these numbers that are on the computer that were scanned in from old ass, like 40, 50-year-old books, and then they just scan them in the computer. And then now we're all at home trying to read these documents and I'm over it. I just want to stare. I'm like, because this is my office. And so this is where I sit. And then out there is where I have my girls. And so sometimes I just am like, oh, hi, girls. I wish I was out there with you. It's like, oh, but eventually I'll get there.
Right on, right on. I'm sure you will. You seem to be one of the people that once they see what they want, you find your way there.
I like to think so. Yeah. So I'll find a way. I will. And I've got a lot of support behind me, all my friends and, people that have, gotten knowledge of the idea through other people and stuff or like, I think that's a good idea. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not sure, you got to go through all the legalities. So that's the part that's just daunting for me is like thinking about all that, like all the hoops that they make you run through, to get it all right. But I'll get there eventually.
I like the aspect that you kind of involving, all plants, cultivation, of basically everything, not necessarily cannabis. That way it makes it a little bit more friendly.
Uh-huh.
to everybody there, and you can
Right.
still do what you want.
Yeah. I mean, because of course, everybody, it just would be that everybody wants to one-stop shop. That's why there's a fucking Costco. They just want to be able to get as much as possible at one place. That's why there's Amazon. But yeah, so I've always, that's just been my happy place. I actually figured out that that's what I wanted to do years ago on my birthday, because I've been taking my birthday off every year from my day job, and I go out to my favorite local greenhouse, and I just wander around for like hours, and I just look at all the things. I'm like, what the fuck is that plant? I've never seen that before. you know I just wander around for hours, and it's the most peaceful place that I've ever been, really. And every time I'm there, I'm just like, this is my happy place. Why am I not doing this for a living? And then I just start thinking, holy shit, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I was growing at that time, but it never dawned on me, oh my God, get a nursery. And then you can have all of this and your cannabis too. So then people could be like, well, how come this cannabis plant is here next to this tomato plant? Well, because, ma'am, you could take this cannabis plant home and grow it next to your tomato plant. And then you can do all sorts of things with this cannabis plant to make you feel better without taking drugs, pharmaceuticals. I still don't even consider weed a drug, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. So anyway, yeah, that's my dream. I would love to be able to tell Edith, hey, Edith, take home this cannabis plant with your green zebra tomato. I bet that will make you even happier than that does. We'll see. I don't know.
You could almost call it a health grow at that point. I mean, between the herbs, the vegetables, and the cannabis, I mean, what more do you really need to sustain health?
Right.
You know,
Maybe the government will invest. Kidding. I'm not even going down that road.
yeah, I could see it being a great thing there. I mean, especially if you're at that point there where you've already cracked the organic nut, and you know, I could see it being just full in at that point.
Yeah, that's why I want to get like a whole understanding of all of that. Like I've even thought about going back to school and getting a degree in horticulture or something. I just always have found it interesting. Funny enough, my mom is the one that gave me my green thumb. I mean, she would be like, come on out here and help me pull these weeds and let's plant these flowers, and I'd be like, oh God, and then after a little while I was like, this isn't bad. This could be worse. It's not laundry. It's not vacuuming. I'm outside still, and I'm like, then ever since then, I'm like, yeah, I like to grow living things. It's just been a thing. So, yeah, it's always kind of stemmed from her. She gave me my green thumb. I was like, little did you know, you taught me how to grow cannabis.
I think you should go back to school for horticulture. To be honest with you, I mean,
You think?
seriously, yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
why
I've been
not?
thinking about it. Yeah, it's
Why
just all
not? I mean,
fascinating.
it it serves a purpose for both things you want to move forth on. I
Right.
mean, why not have the knowledge to be a badass in both fields? I mean, because the nutrients and how you apply them are the same. Basically, once you get you know the general knowledge, you'll be able to apply it both to the canvas aspect and the nursery aspect. So
Right.
it's really a no-brainer. I mean, especially if you're seriously wanting to make it into a career. I mean, that's the struggle as like somebody like myself who's been growing for a very long time has the problem. as much skills that I do have in the garden, and I can prove it with pictures and years of logs and all that good shit, but to move up on the next level there, they want to see a horticulture degree. They
Right.
want to see some, paperwork behind it. You know, and that's not every scenario, by the way. There's a lot of companies that are willing to talk, but,
Uh-huh.
as the bigger jobs go up, I mean, it sure does help. But I mean, if you were ever to want to step out the realm of working for yourself, I mean, it's going to be a given that it's going to be a great tool in your toolbox as you move forth in your venture in any way. But worst comes to worst, things can't make things work. The dream isn't coming as fast as you want. You could always double back and work with for somebody else while you're banking the money to make the dream happen.
Sure. Yeah, I've considered that too. Yeah, I haven't put too many applications in other places because uh, I really, I really have to consider my values in trying to gain that experience too. Because around here, there's a lot of these big, huge commercial facilities that are like big Walmarts of weed, and they're just like pumping out this product that's half-assed, and that uh, I don't know, I'm just not on board with that kind of conveyor belt type of cannabis system. And it works for some, and that's cool for all the people that when they look at a cannabis plant they see dollars, but that's not what I see when I look at cannabis. I see medicine, and I see how much it helps people. And so, as much as I would like to gain that experience of like maybe seeing what that side of things is like, as opposed to a small little home caregiver, um, I don't know. I don't know if I could just see it being so like robotic and like all these people going in and out like little mice, and I don't know. But it sure, yeah, it sure as hell would look good for investors and on a resume. Sure, yeah, I consider that all the time. Mitten Canico was actually hiring not too long ago, and I was kind of hoping to get in with them and get out of my title job. And I'm like, oh, this would be the perfect opportunity because I really admire them. And yeah,
Oh,
I
you
I
should have
didn't
said
get it.
yeah. And Spartan's a friend, so that would have been easy. Should have. Too bad you weren't on the show a couple weeks ago. I could have probably helped you
Uh,
out there.
well, I'm sure, they had like what, 4 or 5 guys running it. I'm sure they all have friends that are really like dying to get in there. So I felt my chances were slim to none, but I had to give it a shot.
Right out.
But for now,
Well, like you said though, with that being said, I could see that too. Working on a big scale, maybe pumping some of the life out of it for me. But with that being said, I wouldn't be partial to learning some stuff on somebody else's dime outside of what I learned, in the school aspect of it, and help me pay for my dream. There's nothing wrong with staying in the field and learning something else on somebody else's dime. I mean, as you're talking about going to school for horticulture, I mean, you could almost view that kind of experience as extra credit on your way to your final journey there. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be forever,
true.
but
Yeah,
they
that's
they
true.
can help pay. They can help pay the way. They can
That's
sure
true.
help pay the way to your dream.
Yeah, and I'm sure it would, maybe open up some doors with meeting the right people and all that kind of stuff. Believe me, it all moves around in here all the time. And, that's why I was like, damn, that Mitten Canico would have been perfect. It would have been a little bit of a drive for me, but, I was doing that in the title industry for a long time anyway. So I was living in Chicago, driving 23 miles outside the city to the suburbs. And oh my God, there was a Monday night football game one time. It took me 2 hours and 45 minutes to get home. And I just was like, this is crazy. But the drive would have been, not great, but I'd be willing to do it for, the right opportunity and the type of situation that would give me the experience that I think would really, help my career grow. And yeah, I mean, because I would like to see how things are done in a commercial setting. I mean, it's got to be, fascinating compared to what we do at home, with these big, huge vats. I mean, I toured that facility in Colorado and I just was like, what the hell? This is crazy. How much did this cost?
Yeah. Well, like I said, it'd be a good insight on what you need to do on your grow. Worst case, I mean, taking notes on somebody else's time doesn't hurt.
That's true. That is true. I will, yeah,
That's kind of how I learned to grow, to be honest with you.
Is it?
I was actually purchasing it from the guy, kind of similar to as your story there. As I was going over there and buying my weekly sack, he'd go, "You want to see my grow?" And I'd be like, "Sure." And then fucking, I was just kind of like looking at nutrients and kind of lights and paying attention. And it wasn't for too long there. Fucking got a couple clones, and that was his mistake, because once that happened and I got that first crop off, I was done.
Yep.
I was done. And been ever since, man. I love it. I fell in love with it right from then. Just I had said not too long after that. I said it. I might have said it to Ross and Jeff last night when I was speaking with him. Is like, yeah, that Charlton Heston type attitude with it. You're gonna pry these lights out of my cold dead hands.
Yep.
This is something I'm gonna do forever. And
Yep.
I haven't looked
Exactly.
back.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. That who was it that's I don't even remember who it was that said it, but whoever it was that said it exactly. The only thing addicting about growing weed or about weed is growing it. And yeah, that's definitely true. It's, ever since the first plants came in my house, I just, every day I would be so excited to go downstairs and, what happened to overnight? Like what, how different do they look today? And it's just that feeling has never gone away. Every day I go into the veg room and I'm like, good morning, ladies. And then that cues my kitten to go running in there. And so then they just, check out everything in the veg room. And then when the lights come on in the flower room, because they run on different schedules, then I get to do it all over again at night and see how the flower ladies are doing and how they've changed overnight. And yeah, obviously that's the most exciting part because that's what we wait for. So yeah, it is. It's addicting.
There's a lot of research to say that that you are building a relationship with your ladies like that when you talk to them and they are receptive and they actually pick up and know those moments to be just like sun up and sun down. This is the time that she'll usually come in. And they perk up. There's a lot of evidence behind that. And I
Uh-huh.
was talking to somebody, I can't remember who it was the other night. We were discussing pretty much this. And with that being said, I couldn't help but wonder if, as we took clones, because they've measured this response even at a distance, like people thinking of their plants and the plants being able to actually on paper, the instruments picking up that the plants can pick up that person, the owner, was thinking about them, you know, miles away. They were able to
Uh-huh.
pick up on it. And so I wondered if, with that being said, if the relationship was pre-programmed. So as you took cuttings off of that, was it the relationship still there with the cuttings? Was it already pre-developed, or did you develop, or do you develop individual relationships with the new cuttings? Are they almost like different people at that point, or do they already
Right.
know you? So
Right.
I don't know.
I
It's
don't
pretty
know.
crazy once you get into that plant science. It's really,
Oh, I
really
know.
wild what they pick up on.
Well, it's amazing. When I talk to people, I know my friends are all like, none of my friends grow, my close, I'm the only one that grows. And so of course they have to listen to me. Oh my God, I got these, I got on these new nudes today, or like, they had their foliar spray today. And my friends are like, yep, yeah. I'm just like, oh, they've got to be just so whatever, but they humor me and they're like, that's awesome. You're so good with them, but I just think it's important to like care about what you're growing. It shows in the end. Like I said before, it just, talking to them, playing music for them. Like, you know, it's how is that different from a pet that you have in your house, a dog or a cat? Would you leave your dog downstairs, with and never talk to it and never, just only turn the lights on and give it food and water every now and then, how would it do? You just, I guess I just kind of think of it in those terms. So yeah, plants have the same situation. They like to be uh, treated as a living being.
Yes, they do. There's a lot of actual, again, a lot of science to like say the music that you play in there too. It kind of relates back to frequency, the good vibes you're putting out, basically that's the easiest way to say it. They pick up on good vibes and they
Yep.
flourish when you're playing certain types of music and stuff. And there's actually research to say that they don't really care for like heavy metal music, which is kind of a bummer because I
Oh,
listen to a lot of heavy metal, but
yeah.
maybe that's we as we kind of talked about. Maybe we train them to like the heavy metal. Once we're
Yeah.
happy, maybe they're happy. Who knows? But
I,
there's a
I, sorry, I don't play a much I don't play a much metal, like Highly Suspect. I'll play them some of that every now and then, or like some Tool, but I don't consider that heavy metal. I don't really consider Highly Suspect heavy metal either, but that's about it. Like, but I used to jam out to like Testament and all that, you know, stuff, or Lamb of God and everything. And yeah, I don't tend to play those for the girls. I tend to like stick with reggae, or, like they like Frank Sinatra a little bit here and there, and, some classical. I play a lot of classical music for them. And yeah. So anyway, I just think it's funny that studies have shown, like that's been an actual study, that they don't like metal.
Yeah, yeah, actually it is.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's
Well,
something about the rhythm of it all that
I mean, if you think about it, the lyrics and the tempo and everything is aggressive.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I could see where that'd be a thing. I'd almost kind of like to experiment with it, but then again, I don't know. I don't. When I choose produce, my friends are going to be like, Karen, you are never getting a date ever again after this broadcast. um, I go to the fucking grocery store or the farmer's market, and the first piece of produce that I choose is generally, or pick up, I should say, is generally the one I choose, because I feel like it has feelings. And if I put it back, then it's like, oh, you weren't chosen. Like, I don't know. And I feel like plants are the same ways. Like when you get rid of your clones, like, oh no, you suck. Like you're not gonna make it, honey. I feel bad just getting rid of those clones that aren't the greatest. But um, yeah. Anyway, that was a side tangent. I just feel like it's all related. I think it's a living thing. It's got to have some sort of not feelings, but I don't know what's the word. It's time for a bong hit. What's the chat say? Is it time for a bong hit?
Oh,
I don't
I'm
know why I
sure they
yelled
have.
at chat. I don't know why I yelled at chat. I'm a fucking idiot. That's why. But
Not at all. They probably yelled at us a few times. Well,
I haven't even had a chance. I haven't even been looking at chat, really. I feel bad, but
I've got myself in trouble with a little bit of copyrights on YouTube.
yeah.
But we had like a dab song there, and so we were playing the shit out of the dab song. It was a perfect little time to heat up and like cool off and take your dab and cheers.
Yep.
But YouTube's getting pretty pissy about the copyright on that song, so I've
Uh,
had to like slack off on the dab song. But usually they've probably asked for it about at least 10 times by now.
uh, this is Maynard. He is named after Tool singer. Isn't he
Nice.
beautiful? I picked this
That
up
was
in
a
Chicago last time I was there. It was just like, it was so cheap. I was like, it's so beautiful. How can you not pick it up? Yeah.
Have you ever
But
seen Tool?
yes. Yeah. Several times. My favorite place seeing them was always the Orbit Room in Grand Rapids. And yeah, I saw them several times there. And, you know, of course, now they play those big arenas, but man, I wish I would have kept all my concert stubs from all the concerts that I went to ever since I was young, because there were so many, so many. So it just would be nice to like go through that. Like I know somebody that actually did that, and they kept every concert stub from the time they were young, and they have it in a box, like a shoe box, and they can go through and pull them out. And I'm like, that is so awesome. I wish I had done that. But yeah, yeah, I've seen Tool. They're pretty. I actually saw them. This is going to date me again. I saw them on one of the early Lalas in Detroit. They were playing the side stage for the Opiate album, and nobody knew who they were, and they were just playing this side stage. I mean, you know, some people knew who they were, but they weren't even playing the main stage. And then they were awesome, and you know, we knew who they were, and so we went there to see them too. And we were walking back to our hotel room, probably to get some more weed or something, and we passed Maynard in the hallway, and their room was like several doors down from ours in the hotel, and we were like, that's Maynard. Good show, Maynard. And we're like, somebody say good show, Maynard. Good show, Maynard. Thanks. That's all he did. Thanks. You know, didn't even turn around. Thanks. But you know what? And ever since then, I'm like, you know, that's a good band. And all his side bands, all his side projects, like Perfect Circle, Pussifer. Do you listen to Pussifer?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I actually got to see them in concert a few years ago. Did you go to that?
No, I didn't. No, I
Oh,
seen
it
the Tool when
was.
they came like 2 years ago, but no Pussifer.
Oh man, Pussifer was great. Um, yeah, and I went down to Nashville with a friend to see Perfect Circle a couple years ago. That was awesome too. But yeah, I love all that stuff, but I don't tend to play them too often for my girls because I just think they're a little delicate.
I don't know. They seem to like.
I gotta
I'd
hit
play
this
some
bog.
Tool in my room. Tool seems to be all right. I actually, you mentioned Lamb of God. I seen them last year with Slam. It's a good show.
Yeah,
Yeah, really good show. To be honest with
they. I saw Lamb of God. I guess it was 2017. I think I saw them. Yeah, 2017. And who else was good that year that I saw that place in Grand Rapids I've been going to a lot. What's the hell's the name of that place? Jeez, it's been so long since I've been to a concert. I was supposed to go see Rage Against the Machine. I had fucking floor tickets for Rage. I am so bummed. I got that email that was like, the show has been postponed to July something. And I was like, oh, that's 2 weeks later. That's cool. No, 2021. And so I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding it. So yeah, I was real bummed because the last time I saw Rage Against the Machine, they played the State Theater. I'm gonna call it the State Theater. I refuse to call it the Fillmore. They played the State Theater with Cypress Hill. Oh, that was a jam. I thought the fucking balcony was going to cave in. Like the whole floor was the entire show. It just felt, you could feel it giving it in. Like, I just looked at my friend. I'm like, just keep smoking because we're going to die. And we might as well just go out high as fuck because, yeah, we're going to die. But it's going to be great.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time. What's been your favorite concert? I mean, out of everything you've seen, what's been the best show?
Oh God. Of all time, I've gotta say Pink Floyd. Yeah, they came around in oh my God, I'm not even gonna say the year. They came around when I graduated college. And my friend bought tickets and we had great seats. And I've just always been a fan. And I mean, of course I didn't get to see all of them. They weren't all there, but it was awesome. It was just magical. And like the helicopters and the pigs were flying and everything. And I just was so high. And it was incredible. But other than that, I know I'm forgetting one. There's a new metal, not a new, but fairly new metal band out of Sweden named Avatar, and they are fantastic live. Crazy, makeup and the whole thing, but I mean, the guitar players, it reminded me of like old school, 80s metal guitar solos, Yngwie Malmsteen, bullshit. So yeah. And my ex-husband took me and he's like, you got to go see this fucking band with me. They're awesome. You're going to love them. And so I went and I was like, oh my God, like 30 seconds in, I was like, yeah, oh my God, they're awesome. So that's one to check out if you haven't seen them. They just put out a new album and they were supposed to tour, but that'll be postponed. But other than that, I mean, Monster Magnet's always one of my favorites. Monster Magnet is a good show. I've been going to those shows. I can't believe Windorf is still alive. But yeah. What about you? What's your favorite show?
I don't know. It hurts my feelings to say that I was probably at least one of those nights that they were here in Michigan, if that's where you've seen them. Pink Floyd. And I was actually probably on so much acid that night. I was comfortably numb by the time it was over. And I don't know. It was a good time, but probably not one of my favorite concerts, to be honest with you. But it was a good time. To be honest with you, I don't know why, but that stands out as like Not one of my favorite. Not so much of one of my favorites. You know what I mean?
Really?
That Pink Floyd. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably. To be honest with you, that was like my least favorite for some reason. I'm not a huge
Wow.
Pink Floyd fan, but
Oh,
I don't
well.
know. But man,
See, I
it
love
was a tough
Floyd.
one.
Yeah.
Pantera would probably. I've seen Pantera, Megadeth, and White Zombie all in one shot, and
Yep.
that was the year
I
they
saw
threw it.
that
They pulled
show.
up the lawn. They pulled up the hill that show and threw it into the pavilion, and
Yep.
that show was amazing.
I thought I
It
was going to
was great.
die. Yeah. I thought that lawn, I thought I was going to get knocked out.
The Pantera again in Saginaw was another. They put on just a fabulous concert in Saginaw. I seen just them there, and that was a good time. That was a really good time. They put on a hell of a show. They were smoking weed that were people was throwing up on the stage, and
Oh, geez.
that's the yeah. It was funny because I've told this story on air. We were obviously younger then, you know. We talked a friend of ours into taking us that night because we all wanted to fucking party, and it's Pantera. We had all intentions on getting all tore up that night, so we talked our buddy Matt into taking us, and Pantera wasn't necessarily Matt's music genre. He was more like a rap kind of guy, but he agreed to take us. You know, we agreed to pay for everything, gas, ticket, all whatever he needed that night.
Yeah.
And as soon as Pantera started up, man, that's the funniest thing I remember is like as the lights flash and they're just rocking out, you could see him every time the lights came on, he was just like further, 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 further back. And it was like
Yeah.
the whole strobe light effect. And he was gone. But amazing
Yeah.
show. That was by far I'm so glad I was able
Yeah.
to attend that night.
Oh, I know
Good
another
time.
one of my favorite shows too. Way back in the day, there was this old bar in anyway, I won't even bring up the name. And Alice in Chains came through before, like right when Facelift had dropped. So nobody knew who they were, but we had somehow picked up that album and we're listening to it back then. And they came through and went to my work. They went to the Warehouse Records and were signing autographs. And they fucking Lane was a disaster even then. Like pre them even getting famous, he was just sitting there. He was, I don't know if he was on something then or if he was hungover or what, but he just had these sunglasses on. He was, cordial, but yeah, they came to the Warehouse Records pre-concert and then they signed autographs, all of them, Jerry and everybody, and they were super nice. They like signed my CD cover, the whole little insert thing or whatever, and took pictures. I have pictures of them like a foot from me. And then they played at the Silver Dollar Saloon that night. And I mean, we were just like, this is awesome. And then, of course, they ended up becoming Alice in Chains. And, I mean, we saw it back then, and they were awesome. Nobody has a voice like Lane's. Nobody still does. I mean, that guy does a good job of like trying to fill the void, but honestly, not even close. So, but I grew up in that era. That was my shit. Like once I transitioned from the metal into the grunge, and then I was just grunge, like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. I didn't really like the Smashing Pumpkins. Pearl Jam a little, not, it was mostly like, Alice in Chains, and that was my shit for a long time. And then that whole Nirvana, of course, duh, yeah, Nirvana. Oh my God, I'll never forget. I was in whatever year of college and Smells Like Teen Spirit came on and they were, oh, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is some shit right here. I just sat there, mouth on the floor, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I've been waiting for. Yeah, it was awesome. That was Nirvana. That's sad. All the good ones have to go early.
I mic'd off for some reason there. Sounds like you got some pretty good taste in music there. Sounds like we're right about the same age, to be honest with you. Sounds like we're exactly the same age, to be honest with you. It's by all the references.
I'm not saying it out loud. I'm not saying it out loud.
I won't make you. I won't make you.
But yeah, but, I'm not 25. I'm gonna say that.
I liked some of the earlier references that you threw out there, like the Black Flag.
Henry Rollins. Yeah, Black Flag. Yes. Yeah, and Suicidal Tendencies. That was my shit too. Some ST. Woo! That was
I actually have a giant Suicidal Tendencies tattoo right here.
Really? Oh yeah, that is awesome. Oh yeah, because I used to skateboard. I skateboarded and I, did that whole shit and ollied all over the fucking neighborhood and pretended I was a dude. Yeah, I did all of that. Yep. So Suicidal Tendency. All the bandmates were men. I never hung out with girls. So yeah, it was ST all the way. ST and
of course, I love the DRI and all that good stuff.
Dead Kennedys. Yep. All of it. Yep. Pistols and JFA, Fear. Oh God, all of them.
Definitely good times back then. Definitely good times. That's for sure.
Yep. I went through all the, it's so funny too, because I can hear a song, just randomly like on a Spotify playlist or something. And it just immediately zooms me right back to where I was in life when I was listening to that, most. And it just is so weird how music does that. And I don't know. That's just how I've always, every part of my life has something to do with some sort of music. Like if I hear it again, I'm like, oh God, yeah, that's when he was such an asshole and I found he was cheating on me. Yeah, it comes right back.
I agree. Music's always been an escape for myself. Still to this day, for sure.
Do you play anything?
Oh, no. I wish. I've tried to play the drums and the guitar at several points, but
yeah,
I just don't have the hand coordination for it. I wish I did.
Yeah. I'd like to get back into playing my guitar again. I mean, it calls me, but I don't know. We'll see. Right now I'm just busy taking care of my ladies and trying to work towards the goal.
Yeah, I actually, my daughter plays guitar. She's inherited. I was like, yes, I knew it was in there at some point. You know what I mean? But she's actually taught herself mainly how to play guitar and ukulele, and she's pretty
That's
musically
cool.
talented. Yeah, I've buried her. It's funny because she's like, Dad, she's got, I don't, at least 6 guitars, electric guitars. She's got a couple of.
Wow, that's
guitars.
cool.
She's got a few ukuleles, and like every time I buy her one, she's like, I don't need another one, and I'm like, you don't understand. I'm really encouraging this. This is something that you're passionate about and you're good at. So why wouldn't I push you as hard as I can in this direction?
Right.
Money well spent, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I don't, I mean, I can't imagine what what I would have been doing if my parents hadn't said, "Oh, so you listened to Def Leppard's Pyromania album and now you want to be a lead guitarist in a band and you want us to pay for guitar lessons and buy you a guitar." Yep. If they hadn't have said, "All right," then who knows what I would have been doing, but I bet it wouldn't have been good. So, I really, yeah, music and it just, I don't know, it just branches out into so many other things too. It just really does. So I don't know. I'm grateful that my parents gave me that opportunity to learn the guitar at a young age. I think I started when I was like 13, something like that. Yeah, just taking lessons at the local music store. And, of course, I just had to learn scales. I just learned scales all the time. I was like, I don't want to learn scales. And, but at the end, he would always say, just learn your scales and we'll go through them. And then I will show you how to play one of your songs that you bring in. So I would be like, really? Like I can bring in a Misfits song? And he's like, yep. And so I would be like, okay. So the last 10 minutes of the lesson, he would teach me how to play like a Misfits song. And he'd listen to it and then he'd write down, the tablature and then, okay. And then this is what you do. And then he would teach me how to play it. And that I would sold for years. And yeah, I'm really glad or grateful, I should say, that they gave me that opportunity because yeah, kept me out of trouble because I was just busy in my room listening to music and playing guitar.
Yeah, that's pretty kick ass. You know, I appreciate the fact that you can play guitar. And actually we're in the whole punk rock band and everything. It's pretty cool. That's nothing chicky about all that. That's for
Uh,
sure. As you would say.
well, yeah, I guess it's just, in the punk band, of course, it was like four chords. So yeah, our name was the Executioners. But we played some shows here and there. It was funny. So, house parties and stuff. And oh, God. But yeah. And then the rest of the guys in the band broke off and became this other bigger band in the area, and yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm done. That's cool. And of course, because of course that involved my now ex-husband. So then he didn't want me in the band because, I'd take the spotlight off of him. So, hi, Jeff. We're friends now. It's cool. He's probably laughing if he would see that. I didn't even tell him I was doing it. But yeah, anyway, it's funny. We can all laugh about it now. But yeah, at that point, I just kind of gave it up and I just finished college and yeah, I started working and I don't know. I just never really picked it up after that again. I mean, I would sit there and I can listen to a song and I can be like, yeah, okay, yeah, follow along. But I don't know, picking it up and doing all the same stuff would be completely different. I almost, that's what's keeping me from doing it because I don't want to find out how bad I suck again that I haven't played in so long. I don't really think it's like riding a bike. I don't think it is.
I don't see why it wouldn't be, to be honest with
Well,
you.
I mean, you lose that momentum. Like you use that just flexibility and everything. The calluses on your fingers, you don't have those anymore. And like, yeah, it's just all stuff that you have to like build up over time and just practice and playing and
It's muscle memory. It comes
did
right back.
continuous work, but fun work. I mean, it's all worth it in the end, but
Muscle memory. It come right back.
We'll see. I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll pick it up. I don't have an amp anymore. I sold the amp. So, you know, I would like to get an acoustic. That'd be kind of that's what I started on. My parents made me start on the acoustic first. They're like, you're not getting an electric guitar until you learn the basics on an acoustic and then see if you like it. And then, yep. And so then in came the Fender Strat. So
I think it's kind of funny because, I went that route with my daughter for a couple of reasons. One, because that's ultimately the way I had always kind of heard it too. You should start out on the acoustic. And then one was it had a bigger neck, a little bit thicker neck, and you could, once you switched over to the electric guitar, you could manipulate it a little easier.
yep,
And then
that's
I
exactly
think
what I
as
found.
I think as a parent, I think they suggested. I think as a parent, again, it comes back to like bite you on the ass a little bit because I think you're like, oh, get the acoustic. That way, it ain't gonna be like super loud and. You know what I mean? In their head, you know what I mean? You can
Yeah,
learn to play, but it isn't going to be on 10 electric through the walls. You know what I mean?
right.
But an acoustic carries just as like just like a good guitar would. And as I found out as I bought her guitars, I encouraged the acoustic, and I loved her listen to her play the acoustic. There's something I love about the acoustic, dragging, hearing the fingers drag down the strings in a good,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
there's just something about that.
Yep.
But
Unplugged.
as I got her and she got her the electric guitars. Now I realized, well, she could practice, and I couldn't even hardly hear her at all. And once she got an amp and some headphones, well, half the time I didn't even know she was practicing. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? So, if I would have kind of maybe even considered that in the beginning, I may have encouraged the electric to begin with, but it was worth it. It's funny too is she always took my feelings into consideration, and
Mm-hmm.
I always got mad about that. She would be like, "Well, I don't want you guys to get sick of listening to me play. You guys are trying to watch TV," and I'm like, "I don't care. Have you ever once heard me complain?
Right.
No, no. Let it play." She used to carry her ukulele with her everywhere. I
Oh,
mean, to
that's awesome.
school, everywhere, and she just busted out, and she would play rock songs or whatever on it.
That's
I
really
still to
cool.
this day.
Yeah, that's
She's a
definitely
cool.
something to encourage, I think. It's like it's just not everybody can say, I play the ukulele. Like it would you rather have your kids say, I play the ukulele or I play Grand Theft Auto? I'm fucking awesome and I make $1 million a year at doing it. And that's cool too. I mean, I'm not dissing that either, but I don't know. You know, it's just different for me, I guess. I just think that learning an instrument is just something about it is educational in a different way and not only just, dexterity and intelligence, which I know that that's what video games takes. I believe me, I know. Don't at me, people, with your video game. But yeah, so I don't know. I just think that's something that's great that you're encouraging for her because I just thought, for me, I thought that just really has probably been the foundation of who I am. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's that's one of the. She's great. She's a great kid. She's smart, very smart. She wants to be in philosophy when she gets older, and she's on point for 17. She's very, very, very smart, and she also appreciates music as much as I do. Everything from classical to some blues. I can put on some blues music, and she appreciates everything up to heavy metal. I mean, she enjoys some
that's
good heavy
cool.
metal.
Do you take her to
it's funny.
concerts?
Not yet, not yet. I
Oh,
mean, she's
okay.
just turning 17, so I haven't taken her to any really good. Well, she's been Rascal Flats and some country
Okay.
concerts, but no rock concerts yet. But
Yeah.
that'll come for sure.
Yep.
But it's amazing the diversity of things she really enjoys for sure. And it's
That's
like
cool.
old music. I caught her looking at like some big. We went do some corny shit. I had to go to the grocery store. It was yesterday, and right around the corner there, it's like an antiques kind of place. It's real cool. I mean, they got so much. I mean, way back. I mean, just cool art pieces to whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
asked her, you want to stop in there? And she went in, and it was a cool day, man. She picked out this little Chinese umbrella type thing, but she appreciates all kinds of like everything. But old albums, she was looking at old Bing Crosby albums. I mean,
Oh, nice.
she's she's got all kinds of like old rock albums and just Tool. She likes a little bit of everything. Her little that's another thing that's really blows my mind too is her love for vinyl. She's got quite
Okay.
a love for vinyl, and she's wherever she sees it, she stops and has to flip through all the old albums. And
That's
it's
cool. I've
really
heard it's
cool.
making a comeback.
Yeah,
I mean, I have a
yeah. I've
friend that
seen.
collects it and yeah, is passionate about it. So I think that's really cool. I don't have anything to play them on. So
They actually are making record players again.
yeah.
Fair, you can fairly cheap. You can go down and buy one at like Walmart for like $40.
But does it
They
sound
sound
good
actually,
though?
yeah, it does
Really?
surprisingly.
Huh.
Yeah, and you can actually go back and get a lot of your favorites online under in some cool vinyl. With which now it's like cool because they can really do amazing shit with that vinyl, like put pictures on it. Really cool albums you can get these days. Heck, when I was with her, I thought it was funny on two levels here, because we were at Walmart here looking at albums, and she's looking at all these old albums, but I couldn't believe that Walmart. I couldn't believe this for two reasons. Both Walmart had NWA, which I thought was kind of,
uh
and the other thing they had NWA on vinyl, which I never thought I'd see.
you
I
know
was
what
like
though?
just bewildered at what I was looking at. I was like, wow.
That album is a fucking classic though, and you cannot deny that was the foundation of all of it. The foundation of it all. I think that album is, goes down in history. But yeah. And like same with Snoop too, when he came out with like, oh, gin and juice, and oh Jesus, that was I like all that stuff too. I'm like, you know what? That's good shit. That is just good. It's good. It's got a beat and it's, intelligent, and I don't know. I just found it completely different from everything I was listening to at that time. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess selling it at Walmart is one thing, but that's a classic album.
Yes, it is for
Historical.
sure. It was
Historical.
funny to see that movie come around and then see like today's kids walking around singing some of them lyrics and shit. It was like you guys just don't even know how like groundbreaking that album was at the time.
Yeah. Yep.
But it,
The, what's sad? Oh, I was watching do you have Epics? It's like it's through I don't know. Anyway, I pay extra through like Amazon Prime, which I know is bad. Anyway, Epics has these really, really good music documentaries. And there's this one, Laurel Canyon, and they talks about the whole Laurel Canyon district of California in like the 60s and 70s. And like, they just go through the whole, they have all the interviews with all the people and like Joni Mitchell and the Eagles, and they just interview everybody. And Charles Manson kept trying to get in at the time, and they were always like, oh, crazy Charlie, always showed up with his demo tapes or whatever they were at the time, his demos, and was trying to get recorded. He was trying to be a music star, and they all knew him. They all called him Crazy Charlie. And so this documentary was really, really interesting in the fact that, it just tells that whole story. And and then there's a same channel, I think it's on Epix, there's one about punk music that Iggy Pop did. And, of course, he's the godfather of that whole movement. And so he, and I can't remember the other person that he produced it with, but that's fantastic. I think it was like 4 episodes or something, and they have interviews with like Henry Rollins and all the originals like Johnny Rotten and everybody. They just talk about the whole movement, and it was fantastic. I keep telling everybody about it and nobody watches it. Like, come on, you guys, somebody watch it. Please, somebody watch it so we can talk about it.
Sounds like a good show, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. I'm guilty of I watch so much YouTube. Oh, Lord, do I watch
Yeah.
so much YouTube.
I watch your show. I watch DGC. I watch Grow From Your Heart, Mr. Grow It, Mr. Canucks Grows, or is that right? Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I hear you. But
part of it is I don't get shit up here I'm up in northern Michigan, and cable service is a nada up here. I mean, seriously, not even a thing. Satellite, if I really would kind of wanted it, but I'm not that big into TV, so I'm not going to commit to satellite. So it's mostly everything is like internet and streamed. So spend a lot of time on like Netflix and YouTube.
Yep.
If I have to watch
something. Do you have Hulu?
Yeah, I have Hulu.
Have you seen The Biggest Little Farm?
What's is it a cannabis related show or
no? But it is a documentary that follows this family that originally lived in LA, and they adopted this dog, and the dog was a working dog. It was like a Australian Shepherd or something like that. And while they went to work, the dog would bark and bark and bark and bark and never shut up. And so obviously something was wrong, and they didn't want to get rid of the dog. So they're like, well, they got evicted from their place. And so they're like, well, we need to do something. Well, she was a food blogger, and her dream was always own this farm where she could grow their own food. And he was a nature wildlife photographer. Like, he traveled all over the world and was a videographer for wildlife. And so they found this old dilapidated farm with all this land up in not northern California. I guess it was an hour north of LA. And it was just, the soil was like dust. Like, they picked it up, like everything was like grown over. It hadn't been farmed or done anything with in years. But, the soil was awful, but they hired this, I'm just going to call him the guru, to come and teach them how to make this farm back a farm again and be completely self-sustaining. And it's probably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. And it's just, of course, it's shot beautifully because it's shot by the guy who does the wildlife photography, who co-owns the farm. So you have all these like wildlife shots in between of like hummingbirds nesting or like bees landing on all the stuff, or like it's just visually a stunning documentary, on top of the fact that, you know, they show the trials and tribulations of these people trying to learn how to make this farm a farm again, and like learn how to farm. And of course they're like, you know, they get all the animals and they bring the animals in, and so they've got all these things, and then uh-oh, now all the fruit trees have all these snails on them. What do we do? They're eating all the fruit trees. What do we do? And then they learn that the ducks that they had brought in for the algae in the pond can also be brought over to the little fruit tree area, and they eat all the snails off of the trees. And then of course, what do they leave when they leave? Compost. So then it fertilizes the fruit trees. So it's like a whole cylindrical, circular, self-sustaining, magical documentary.
So, no, it sounds like a couple of farms out in California I've heard about, to be honest with.
That's where this is. It's called the Apricot Lane Farms. That's the name of it. And they're still going. And yeah, I recommend that documentary to everybody. It just, you know, like they'll have like a yay moment, and then all of a sudden it's like tragedy, something, you know, and then yay, and then we fixed it, and then oh my god, this is tragic, we're not going to make it. You know, it's just because that's the kind of shit that happens with farms, you know. And it's not even with cannabis plants, with growing. We've all had our yays and our oh fucks, you know. So that's what makes us better growers, to learn what to do and what not to do. But anyway, yeah, that documentary is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it to everybody. It's really, really good. But
Check that out. I
yeah,
do have to do some trimming at some point in the next few days. I'll probably have to check that out. I mean, that's a good thing. That's the other thing I like about wet trimming right there, is I get to binge watch some shit. You know what I mean? It's a good
yeah.
time to catch up on shows.
I that's what I watch a lot of documentaries that way. Like, oh god, I watched the Ted Bundy, that whole series. My friend came over and we had some fucking M&Ms and was it goldfish in between us, and then all of our trim stuff, and we put on the Ted Bundy series, and we just sat there and trimmed, and then took a break, M&Ms, okay, gloves back on, you know. But yeah, I do the same thing. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where thankfully for my day job, I have one of those Vera desks, so I can stand up my desk and stand, and I have to trim that way too. Like I can't sit and trim. I have to stand and like just do it. I put my trim bin right on my Vera desk, and then I just trim that way and listen to music. And it sucks. It sucks ass, but you know, we all have to do it.
There's no way around it. There's no way
Nope.
around it. That's for sure.
But
That's that's the other thing I don't like about dry trimming. It seems to put off the inevitable. You know what I mean? I
uh
like when I wet trim, I'm done, I'm done. When I hang and dry, it's like I'm just postponing what I just know I'm gonna hate. And then when it comes time, I look at it and it's like, dude, now there's too much because I just put
yep.
it off. I just
Yep. That's exactly, and I look at all the plants hanging there, and then I just automatically, because I know how much generally each plant's gonna take, how long. And so I immediately added up in my head, okay, there's 36 hours, 36 hours of trimming. And and I'm like, where am I gonna whip that out of my ass? I can't stay up all night. I'm an 8-hour person. But I mean, well, obviously that's not happening tonight. Tonight's gonna be an exception. And I am probably gonna get off here pretty soon because I just realized it's almost 3 o'clock. And oh my God, I haven't stayed up this late since my bar days. But
It goes fast. It goes pretty fast once you get going, though, doesn't it?
yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I feel bad. I haven't had a chance really to check out the chat, but shout out to all the people I usually chat with in the DGC live chat. All my DGC. I don't know. They're probably not in here, but like Terp Tarmigan, Smashed Cannabis, Ian, Raptor Grows, Lobster, Mike Denver, all those guys. Anyway, if anybody happened to see this, shout out to you guys. And yeah, it's been fun. Thanks. I appreciate you having me on.
No, thank you for coming. Before you go, I mean, there's two things I want to, well, one thing I want to tell you, and one thing I want to ask of you before you go. That's good. First of all, this applies to everybody that comes on and does their episode. Some nights, probably tomorrow night will be one of those nights. Every so often, I take a scheduling break, and just do like a free for all. Like tomorrow, I can knock out a bunch of work and not necessarily have to worry about putting together or stressing an interview. All tomorrow night, all I have to do is show up and turn on the mic, and whatever happens. But so, with that being said, it applies to everybody that's a past guest. These numbers are the same every night, and so there's two way these numbers apply. Say, like, if you're bored tomorrow night, I'm just throwing that out there because this is a for instance, and it happens to apply tomorrow night. Well,
okay.
Who knew?
Right.
But well, if you ever see a panel show and you want to jump in, talk, grow, hang out, whatever, numbers are always the same. You're more than welcome to hang out.
Okay.
Some
so is that
you're
like
not getting your...
It's like an embrace. I don't think I've seen one of them. Is it like an embracing organics type of situation where everybody's just kind of
where there'll be a few on talking,
Cool.
Sometimes it might be like geared to something in specific. I mean, but most of the time it's grow related, and it will go here, there, wherever. Maybe a little bit of a rabbit hole, and then of course there is the rabbit hole, and that's when anytime where a guest like yourself doesn't go the whole gauntlet, it happens a lot more than you think, by the way. People go the whole distance, but that odd time there from now to 420 it will be the rabbit hole. So if you're ever up and catch a rabbit hole, those numbers apply to the rabbit hole too.
Okay.
So if you ever see a rabbit hole or a panel session you want to hang out, you got the numbers. More than welcome. Please and thank you to use
All
them.
right. All right. Well, I appreciate it. It's been an honor.
And then the other thing I want from you is the soundbite. If you could just humor me into, you've got that rock and roll style, so I can see this being all too easy for you, and you probably know what the fuck I'm talking about here. It's like back in the day where the artist would come on this station. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So that's basically what I want is, this is, you can say your name or the Painted Lady, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, had a great time, whatever you want to put on there, totally up to you. But can I get your sound bite?
Absolutely. Are you ready?
I'm 100% ready.
Hey everybody, this is Painted Lady with Painted Lady Gardens, and you are listening and watching to fucking Talking Shit with Eagle.
Perfect.
I sound like fucking Nina Blackwood back on MTV. days. Do you want to take two?
If you're not happy with it, you give me a take two. Rasta gave me take two.
He did. He did give you a take two.
He did.
Yeah, but
That's
I don't
up to
have
you.
that whole. I don't have a cool intro like he does. So I don't. I'm not worthy of anything cooler than just saying my name and that you're listening or watching to fucking talking shit with Eagle. So I think I'm good with the first one. I think if you are.
I thought it was excellent, to be honest
All right,
with you.
sweet.
I thought you did
Good to
nail
go.
it the first time.
All righty.
Thank you so much, and hopefully you did have fun, and it's something that you will consider popping on again, some point, either at
Yeah.
panel sesh or maybe checking back in after harvest in the fall there, letting us know how that outdoor went. That'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah, cross your fingers and your toes, because I don't know. Like I said, that Cherry Garcia is making me nervous. She's stacked. So we'll see. But yeah, again, it's been an honor. I appreciate you having me on. And, if anybody happens to want to give me a follow on Instagram, I'm at Painted Lady Gardens and at Painted Lady on Cannabis. Come check me
Well, I think
out.
they'll
I'm
probably all
trying to do
follow
some
you.
pictures.
I bet you they're already there. I bet you they're already there.
Well, yeah, this has been a blast. I've had a great time. Yeah, talking music and weed. Those are my two favorite things. What more? I mean, and Maynard got used tonight. It's like a genie in a bottle. He's happy. We're all happy. So, yeah, have a great weekend, everybody, and yeah, see you on the other side.
Thank you. Yeah, get some rest. I will hopefully see you and talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye. Pretty awesome night hanging out with the painted lady. Hopefully she pops back in and on us again soon. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And you guys know the deal. It's time for the rabbit hole. I've got to hope end this episode. Hopefully it goes through tonight without some butthead trying to flag again. We've got somebody trying to work against us, and it's sad. Didn't IG write a report? I'm not sure what you're saying here. Anyways, I will see you guys in a few in the rabbit hole. Thank you for tuning in. You guys know the deal. Random acts of kindness do save lives. Please do something nice for someone. And I will see you in a few in the rabbit hole. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you, Painted